Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream on our final stream of the week because I'm out Wednesday. Final stream of the week. We are back streaming in the month of Ramadan, which is going to be next week. Definitely be Monday for sure. Monday night or Monday daytime, depending on the moon sightings. And of course, all the masajid are going to go by calculation. And if you're a local and you don't know much about this debate, then inshallah you just you would be inshallah ma'dhur. However, we will be starting at 2 p.m. Right, 2 p.m. on Ramadan hours. So that gives us a little bit of a breather in the morning time, since we have suhoor. And usually, I don't know about you guys, but it's very hard to actually do suhoor and fajr and sleep again. I'm usually up for a good 2-3 hour block, right? And I feel like, let me make use of this blessed time. And then, your rest of your day, that you've done a lot already in the rest of your day. Let's take a look at this news story. The alleged gang rape. Wait a second. Why is it alleged? It happened. The alleged gang, this is BBC. The alleged gang rape of a tourist with Brazilian Spanish dual nationality in the eastern Indian state of Jharkhand has led to outrage. The 28-year-old woman and her husband were on a motorbike tour. They stopped for the night in the Dumki district. They found nowhere else to go in the world. Right? There's no other place to visit except India. No offense, but it's not a tourist site. When was the last time you see India as a tourist site, right? Police say that they have arrested 4 men and are searching for 3 more. All right. The identities of the men who are also accused of beating the woman's partner have not been disclosed yet. The couple traveled to several parts of Asia on their motorbikes before arriving in India a few months ago. So these are the types of people who have like some, let's say, 6,000 pounds or 6,000 euros of disposable cash, and they go on these backpacking tours, right? Staying in hostels, and they go until the money runs out. Usually that's how these Europeans do it. It's pretty popular, and Americans go on these things too. I had a friend, he did one of these all of Asia, and he did Thailand and all these countries until he runs out of money. Then he goes back. So now the video, the woman posted a video on their Instagram page, which has 234,000 followers. So they're popular people, apparently. 7 men raped me, she said. They have beaten us and robbed us, although not many things were taken because what they wanted was to rape me, she said in Spanish, adding that the men beat them and threatened to kill them. In a separate video, the husband, who is Spanish, he said, "My mouth is destroyed, but my partner is worse than me. They have hit me with helmets several times with a stone on the head. Thank goodness she was wearing a jacket. And that stops the blow a little bit." Okay. The videos are been taken down from their page. Okay. The couple were speaking in a mixture of English and Spanish, so the patrolling team could not understand them initially, but they appeared visibly injured. The Brazilian embassy got involved, told the BBC that the woman and her husband were victims of a serious criminal attack. The embassy said it had contacted the woman, all right, and local authorities. All right, so what else is there to this story? So the woman, did she get raped or attempted rape? It's not really clear. She said, oh, did she say they raped me, right? No, she did. Yeah, she got it. Yeah, she said they raped me. Okay. Yeah. So we need to stand united. Violence against women. Conversations around rape and sexual violence became more prominent in India after the 2012 gang rape and murder of a young woman on a bus in Delhi. So let's see if Owen Benjamin has this revived his love of Hindus and Pajits because of this story. That would be, I think, the expected result. He's going to get himself some little comedy pieces. Right. All right. So let's move on to the next segment. We have record attendance here at the studio today. Who do we have here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18, if I counted right, from Atlanta, And from what state?
Georgia.
No, also Atlanta. You're also with the Atlanta crew. Everyone here is Atlanta? Yeah. Oh, everyone here is from Atlanta. So we're being getting a lot of love today from Atlanta, Georgia. All right. These brothers. Okay, so mashallah, well done. You're all on your spring break? And what school do you go to?
University of Georgia.
University of Georgia, and that's like basically your main state school that, like our version of Rutgers, right? It's how many thousands of people are there? 40K. Wow. Let me take this thing. It's still in my ear. 40,000 people. So similar to Rutgers, which is like 45,000 people, right?
Is including master students?
Rutgers? Yeah, like 45, 50,000 people. Add 10,000 admin and staff, right? All right, what are we reading today? We're going to read a little bit from Sheikh Saeed Ramzan al-Bouti's book, Chapter 3, The Second Cause, Fear of the Future. And this is one of the fears he's saying is very inappropriate for a Muslim to have. A Muslim should never have fears of the future, and that's why we make a dua every day in al-Wird that we recite. We have al-Wird al-Latif. Today's Wednesday, which we're going to do it. We're going to stop for a dua for sure. We have al-Wird al-Latif, and in al-Wird al-Latif, which you can get it at safinaside.org/wird. Okay. Al-Wird al-Latif has in it a dua that talks about seeking refuge from al-hammi wal-hazan. Al-ham is fear for the future. Al-hazan is fear for the past. All right, or sadness about the past. All right, sadness about the past, fear of the future. That's what al-hammi wal-hazan is. Don't forget, al-hazn is different from al-hazan. Okay, that's difficulty. Hazn is difficulty. Okay, and there used to be a name that the Arabs used to name. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, his grandfather, was named Hazn. It meant difficult. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Bal anta sahl. No, I've changed your name to Sahl. And his grandfather said, I cannot change a name that Allah Ta'ala gave me, that my father gave me. So his loyalty of his father, some jahiliyyah was still inside of him, that he imagined loyalty to my father overrides loyalty to the Prophet ﷺ. So he refused. So Sa'id al-Musayyib said, difficulty of personality remained within our family because of that. Because that's what you chose over the Prophet, peace be upon him, renaming you Sahl, which is easy going. So he said that hazn, harshness, difficulty of personality remains in our family since then. All right, so that's the difference between al-huzn wal-hazn. Okay. Wal-hazan as well is sadness. All right, so as previously mentioned, Sheikh Saeed Ramzan al-Bouti says, and this is a book that you can buy from the Forward Publications, Nawa Books. This is our own man, Sheikh Mahdi Laq, who teaches our Arabic course. He runs our Arabic department at ArcView. If you want to learn Arabic, you go to arcview.org, and Sheikh Mahdi will take care of you from there. He cares a lot about his students. That's why we got him. We wanted somebody who doesn't teach the class and leave. Someone who cares about the students, follows up with them, and makes sure that they learn and that they're motivated at all times. So he wrote this. He translated this book. Many people have depression, anxiety, and psychological unrest because they try to control their future. Okay? The person does not know anything about the story of his existence. He doesn't know about his background, his origin. If you know about your origin, you can know about your present and about your future. If you know that your origin was that you're created intentionally, by name, exactly who you are and what you're going to get in life, that means you have someone taking care of you. Okay? His existence and the meaning behind this vast universe that he inhabits. Many of these people have turned a blind eye and closed off their intuition to attempt to find an answer to these vital questions, have been exposed and are still being exposed to depression and different types of anxieties and psychological unrests. Psychological problems, they have psychological solutions, right? Psychological problems can breed physical ailments too. But the solution is not you can cancel out the physical ailment with a medicine, but that doesn't change the source of the problem is up here. Okay. And it's not up here just because you're born with it. It's up here because of a belief that you've taken on. All right. So he says here that the first cause was discussed and there's no need to repeat it here. Now we're going to talk about the next cause. The example was given of someone who goes to sleep at night in his own bed and in his own house, and when he wakes up, he finds himself on a train taking him to some unknown destination. He doesn't know who transported him from his house to this train, nor does he know who was driving the train, to which destination, etc., and what awaits him. All right, clearly this person has to be in a state of severe anxiety. Okay, and what a fool is the one who doesn't investigate and ask this question of who put me here and why did I get here? And hence we have to know that what does shaitan do? He makes you distracted from this main question. That's the main question that he asks you, that you have to ask. So there are some main questions in life. If you don't ask this, your life will never be complete. So how is it? Like, what kind of person doesn't ask these questions? So shaitan will constantly busy you with, I need to eat, busy you with, make sure we get food, busy you with entertainment, look out the window and be entertained, games, and all these things. And that's what they're entertaining themselves with. Okay, or busying themselves with. And Abu Jahl, when the Prophet ﷺ was doing da'wah, Abu Lahab would go around telling people, don't listen to him, he's bad. Right? So what did he actually do? He heightened their focus on the Prophet ﷺ until many people said, well, I got my own brain. I could think for myself. And then they would enter Islam. But Abu Jahl realized you're still driving everyone's focus to the Prophet, peace be upon him, even if it's in the negative. So he came up with another strategy, right? And he said, now distract him. وَالْغَوْ فِيهِ. So every time the Prophet is preaching, you bring the best storytellers and poets and put it right next to him. Okay? So put on a good show next to the Prophet ﷺ. And that worked. Distraction. The ummah of Islam, the ummah of regular Muslims, you probably would not have a lot of kaba'ir. A genuine, regular practicing Muslim prays Jum'ah, goes to the masjid when there's an occasion, right? The basics will be there. The major kaba'ir probably won't be there, but distraction is his killer, right? Distraction, constant distraction. And then sagha'ir with tikrar. Sagha'ir with tikrar, like pornography, it's one moment of it can be a saghira, but with tikrar becomes a kabira. As a habit, regular, routinely, to do a minor sin, it mounts up to become a major sin. And that's a big problem. And that's why tawbah is needed at all times, right away, immediately, from these sagha'ir. But nonetheless, a Muslim should be immune from a lot of psychological illnesses, depressions and anxieties, and these are sicknesses of the heart, if they know where they originated from, and that you originated from a caring Lord who's taking care of your rizq. لا نسألك رزقا. We don't ask you for rizq. نحن نرزقك. Allah is providing the rizq. But He provides it after you put in the effort. So in our way, your body has to be tired every day, but your heart is never tired. Your mind is never troubled. Your body has to be exhausted. Okay? So when Ibn Ata says, don't exhaust yourself, your rizq is written, he means don't exhaust your mind, worrying where the rizq is going to come from. But do exhaust your body. That's the difference between, in our Sharia. That's how we understand work. Your body should be exhausted every day. If your body's not exhausted, as a man, you're doing something wrong. If you're a woman, you don't have to be tired. And in fact, if you do exhaust yourself, right, for rizq, then it could be just out of poverty. That's understandable. And we have some sahabiyat, they ground, like Sayyidah Fatima, she was grinding cornmeal and making like bread and cornmeal every day. So she was tired every single day, but that's okay. But if there's no need, then there's no need to be asking, right? And there's no need to be working. There's no need to be exhausting yourself. Who fooled people? Who fooled women into thinking that you're working is like as a good thing for you? If you don't have to work, why would you work? Right? Now, I do understand, though, that the modern way that we live, what else is there to do? Right? You sit at home all day. Back in the day, you're sitting at home, you had like, oh, look who it is. Sohaib is here. Allahu Akbar. SubhanAllah. And with a little bit of a haircut. MashaAllah. What a surprise. Okay? What a surprise. MashaAllah. Allahu Akbar. One of our old brothers from Egypt has come here. Sohaib. MashaAllah. Allahu Akbar. Great to see you. Allahu Akbar. Look at this big surprise here. Barakallahu feek. Well done, man. Who brought you here? Ryan and Habib?
Yeah.
From Newark right now or from JFK?
No, I was at somebody's house last night. Came late.
What did you take? The Egypt Air, rotten Egypt Air flight?
No, I avoid Egypt Air at all costs.
Good.
First flight on Egypt Air, the
Yeah.
fight.
Oh my gosh.
One sumo wrestler against another sumo wrestler.
Ryan, Alaikum. Kif haluk? Alaikum. Barakallahu feek. Allahu feek. If you guys could pan the camera, you'd see how packed the place is. Okay. Huh? You can pan the camera if you want. You who? Yeah, mashallah, alhamdulillah. These guys came from for their spring break. For their spring break. Yeah, spring break for these guys. Out of Atlanta.
All you guys.
Did you guys fly up here from Newark? We drove. You drove. How long is the drive? 17 hours? Huh? 11 hours.
Yeah, if we stop and go, it ended up being...
How are you 11 hours? I went to North Carolina on 17 hours. 11 to Philly. 17 hours to North Carolina, yeah. Yeah. No, I was young. I went to one of these mini camps. Yeah. All right, let's, where did we leave off? I said, who fooled people thinking that working is liberation, right? But nonetheless, you got to say to yourself, like, what is it exactly that is there to do, right? Is sit at home all day? So I do understand that to a degree, right? But in any event, how do we even get to that subject? Fear of rizq. So when we talk about the life of a man, and this is very important because a lot of guys, there's a struggle in today's world. There's a struggle. Right? Women cannot find a guy who can pull it together, right? So this is something that's really important. Guys have to be able to pull it together these days. You don't always come from a wealthy family that could take care of everything, right? You got to be able to pull it together. And I'll tell you, don't play video games. Don't get involved in video games. It's a big waste of time, massive waste of time, right? I know some people who are very successful who play video games. I'm just saying, as a word of advice, I think it's an epic waste of time, right? If you're going to get into something, you got to get into somewhere you can sweat at least. What do you think, Habib? You into video games?
I would, but I'd rather play sports.
Yeah. I think video games, a lot of guys who play video games, I just don't get the hours on end that people play video games. It's like, don't you feel like you're wasting your life away? You should either be learning something at all times, getting some exercise in, selling something that'll benefit you in the long haul. Or I know a guy, he got a regular IT degree, but this guy has gotten every certification there is in the book. He has over 10 certifications. Each certification takes him like 18 months of studies, but he does them all simultaneously. He must have 10 certifications. He now gets recruited. Every month, a new bank wants him to secure their accounts. He does like fraud or cyber security, right?
Oh.
Cyber security. No, he's like to ensure that there's no fraud, right? The fraud security department and cyber security. Every month, a different bank, and then he just jumps up and up and up and up because he spends his time getting certifications. He doesn't spend his time wasting time. So he knows anything that you ask him about this field, he's got a certification in. He doesn't just try to learn it on himself, on his own blogs which is what other friends of mine do. They have a lot of knowledge, but there's no piece of paper to verify that knowledge. This guy gets certifications. Young people should be they should be studying, they should be learning something all day, they should be getting physical exercise, working, selling something, but video games, you're just wasting your time. Okay. He says here, usually a person in his youth will try to avoid these vital questions on the purpose of life by resorting to entertainment and chasing amusements, which take up all his time. He lacks knowledge. He tries to stay far from these questions of unease, right? The unease of attempting to answer these questions and the change of life that they will require. Most young people who excessively seek entertainment and heedless distraction do so in order to forget these vital questions that keep haunting them. Right? Vital question, what is the purpose of life? Why am I here? What am I doing? Right? These questions of life. Imagine, however, when the phase of youth ends, followed by the phase of middle age. Now, your desires, your strength, all of these things basically begin to recede. Most of your life is behind you, but yet still a lot of life is ahead of you. And that's where depression comes into, what they call midlife crisis. A lot has passed, but there's still a lot ahead. Like, you're not old when you're 40, but you're old relative to young people. Like, it's inappropriate for you to hang out with young people now. No one expects that to happen. Okay, going hanging out with youth in the sense of going out where they go out. Imagine like going to Six Flags with 20-year-olds and you're 40. It's not going to work. Right, doing all these things, it's not suitable anymore. Going backpacking with people and you're 40 and they're all 20. It just doesn't make sense. It's not accepted. So you're now supposed to be in a certain position that's mature, but you got a lot of your life ahead of you. So that's where a lot of people's regrets come up and their doubts come up, and they get very sad that their youth is visibly leaving them now. And they don't, but they still got perceptively, they perceive that they have a lot of life to live. That's why they get depressed. They get anxious. I got another 40 years to live and I don't got anything to show for it. I'm not happy, blah, blah, blah. That's where this depression sets in to people, what they call the midlife crisis. But a Muslim should shake that off quick. If it settles upon a Muslim, and it may settle upon you if you're not busy. This stuff only settles on you if you're not busy. If you're busy, it won't settle. Okay, it's like we trying to latch something on to something that's moving. You can never latch it on. This sadness will never latch upon someone who's busy. That's why it's good to be busy. Harakah, barakah, they say. The barakah of removing all these sadnesses. But when it comes on a person, they got to remember, what am I seeking? The pleasures of life? You're headed towards the pleasures of life. A Muslim is headed to all these pleasures. The older you get, every second that ticks off the clock, you're headed to those pleasures of life, but permanent. You don't have to work for it. It's perfect. And it's free. That's what akhirah is. It's permanent, perfect, and free. Here, the pleasures of life are temporary, imperfect, and expensive. Okay? If it's haram, it's expensive. If it's halal, it's equally expensive and maybe even more expensive. Okay? But so the pleasures of this life, you have to ask yourself, if this is what Allah gave the sinners and the kuffar, what then awaits the mu'mineen? Whenever you see the pleasures of life that you feel like you're missing out on, say, oh my gosh, look how amazing this is, and I'm missing out, it's haram, or I can't reach it, I can't get it. You have to tell yourself if what the Salihin said, which I read recently in the book of Ibn al-Jawzi. He said, one of the Salihin, they came upon a scene of food and drinking and music and women. They were walking and they saw this scene in front of them. And he said, don't ever feel loss when you can't have these things in this life. He said, because if you're impressed with what Allah gave kuffar and sinners, imagine what he's prepared for believers and the righteous, right? So for the pleasures of life, we never miss out on any of it. We're headed to what is bigger and better and more permanent and with no work. The pleasures of life only come with work here in this life. You have to work to earn it, and then it goes away from you. It's not a good deal at all. You have to work so hard to get there. When you finally get to where, like some of these people say, when you get so rich that the world is free. The world is free. Anything that you want is free. Anything possibly that you want to get. You want Epstein Island, you get that. Okay? Whatever people want is free, right? That's what he lured people with, right? That was his trap. He lured people. I personally think he's a Mossad agent. But in any event, whatever you want is free. That's how rich they get. But that's their paradise, right? And once they finally get there, what happens? It disappears. Even the pleasure of every single pleasure, immediately it disappears. It has a climax and it disappears. And whether it's food or sex or anything else. But the pleasures of akhirah, they never disappear. You only move from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Yeah. He says now, this is followed, youth is followed by the stage of old age, okay, with its darknesses, its weaknesses, its misery. Yet the question then dominates and conquers the mind. And in this, Allah Ta'ala is giving mercy to the elderly. Okay. The mercy of the elderly is that all the sources of your distraction, we're going to take them away. So you were distracted by your beauty, we'll take it away. You're distracted by your need to cover responsibilities. All right, your kids are all grown up and gone. No, you have no more responsibilities. You used to be distracted by competition with your peers. Halas, every one of you is retired. Right? You moved on from the competition. You're distracted by your health. And your health allows you to travel and to do all these things and go out and about and get busy. All right? Your health starts to wane. Now, this is a mercy for the elderly. Because now all you do is tackle these ideas. Purpose of life, what am I doing, all these things. And that's where a lot of the Muslims in the Islamic world, a lot of people, they just make tawbah in their 50s. All the distractions are gone. Okay. Now the times of desires are over. There is no escape from these questions, he says. The questions on the purpose of life. So you might notice that depression dominates the middle-aged and the elderly in secular materialistic societies in a persistent and dangerous manner because of the time of resorting to heedless distraction and entertainment has passed. One of the things the Prophet ﷺ said, who is cursed by Allah, a shaykh was zani. The shaykh who still chases pleasure. Shaykh doesn't mean scholar here, it means here the elderly, who still is chasing desires. And from this, when you look at what the elderly do and playing checkers and bingo, that's not how a Muslim would end their life. The last year, from what our Salihin say, is that this is the time where we put out the rug and we never fold it up again. Now they're preparing for their akhirah. But you can't do that unless you did it as a youth. That's why learning ibadah as a youth, mujahadat an-nafs, as a youth is a prerequisite to doing it while older. You can't teach someone something new. By the way, here, these are usually good with tea, but we don't have tea. So we can all have that and munch on that. Yeah, speak. Is his mic on?
So when I don't know, I've always heard this, I guess, growing up, where I guess when the Salihin are people that, they don't technically have to be like from the awliya or whatnot, but just people that, pious and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, usually when they have about a year, so this is like talking about the Sa'id person, like not the Shaqi, like they usually, about exactly a year till their departure, they kind of have a sign or they have an inclination to know, like, this is our last year.
That's true. Yeah, we talked about that the other day, that the meaning of taraddud, didn't we talk about this the other day? The meaning of taraddud in the hadith Qudsi of وَمَا تَرَدَّدْتُ فِي شَيْءٍ تَرَدُّدِي, is Allah says, there is no hesitation that I have as much as the hesitation of taking the soul of my righteous believer. So the ulama then asked the question, how does Allah hesitate? Because hesitation implies fear and uncertainty. And uncertainty implies knowledge, a lack of knowledge, right? So what happened? We're frozen? Audio and video? No, okay, the video is frozen, but we'll keep going. We'll keep talking. Yeah, we'll keep talking. It's probably the OB. Testing. All right. So the main audio is working. So
Is this audio gone?
No, the audio's back. The audio should be back. So the taraddud here cannot be hesitation, because hesitation is based upon fear and uncertainty. Uncertainty is based upon lack of knowledge, and fear is based on lack of power, right? So we can't believe that. So what is the taraddud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The taraddud is the literal bringing something and then pulling it back, bringing it and pulling it back, until that person adjusts to this new reality. And what he brings them, maybe just unplug it and replug it. I think one of these, one of these cords is probably loose or something. So he brings death to the person through a sickness, what appears to be death. And then the person, he pulls it back. Then the person becomes healthy again. But during that sickness, a little seed comes in his mind. Whoa, am I ready to die? Am I prepared for death? And then sometime later, he may attend the funeral of his friend. So he thinks about death again. And sometime later, okay, he gets sick again, or almost has a car. So constantly Allah Ta'ala sends him these signals that soon he will die, right? And he starts to become acquainted with the concepts, not so nervous about it. He starts preparing, maybe paying off debts so his family don't get stuck with debts, maybe making some investments so his family have something to inherit, moving on his responsibilities in the community. And so that is the meaning of taraddud, literally taraddud, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it's not out of hesitation, but it's out of mercy for his abd al-mu'min. We, like hesitation of picking up a cat, for example. I don't know if it's going to scratch me or not. You hesitate, okay, out of fear and uncertainty. Whereas the hesitation of Allah Ta'ala, the taraddud of Allah, is not hesitation. It's going back and forth to acclimate the wali to the new reality. Now, this is for death and for everything else. Everything that is big, everything that's a big, massive change in the life of a righteous person, and Allah Ta'ala does taraddud. He brings the seed of the idea into his mind. Then it goes away. He goes back to life as normal. But now there's a seed in his mind. And it grows little by little by little. Then there's another crossing of paths. And many tawbah of people is based on this, right? Person gives them a tape, back in the old days, a cassette tape, right? He puts it on the shelf. Then he crosses paths with that person in the masjid again and sees that speaker who's on the cassette tape. Then he's, let me just give that a shot, and listens to it one time. All that took 2 months, right? To get him to put it in the cassette player and listen to it took 2 months, right? Sometime later, he waits, he puts it on again. And then he starts listening. So by fourth, it took 3-4 months. But then there's things that have to happen before that, right? I had a fallout with my best friend. I had this happen, that happened. So to clear his mind. So this is how Allah Ta'ala makes major changes in the life of a person. Thank you. Without shocking them. And that's the key. All right. So that taraddud, that is the taraddud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the point that these awliya, they don't know the future in the same way that that one may imagine, but Allah Ta'ala gives them signs. They know the signs. They know this is happening, right? And that's exactly what the companion Hatib ibn Abi Balta'a, he saw all the isharat, all the signs that the conquest of Mecca was imminent. And as a result of that, he went and he told his family, go tell Abu Sufyan the Prophet's coming, right? And that was sinful, because you can't spill the secrets of the leader, right? So Sayyidina Jibreel came and he commanded the Prophet ﷺ to send Sahaba to get the letter from the girl that he sent it with. He sent the letter with the girl. And Sayyidina Ali and Sayyidina Zubair went. And they said, we know that you have the letter, give it back. And she said, no, I don't have anything. And Zubair says, okay, she doesn't have anything, so let's go. Sayyidina Ali said, the Prophet said she has a letter, therefore she has a letter. So he said, bring it forth before I strip you. right, and take it out of you by force. So she brought it out of her hair. It was tucked into her hair. And they went back. Arrived at the masjid, and the whole jama'ah was there after the prayer. He gave it straight to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet read it, and it was from Hatib, whose family was poor, and they were not Quraysh. They were immigrants in Mecca, and they were poor. So the Prophet read it, and he threw it. And he said, "What is this, Hatib?" And then Hatib said, "Let me explain myself." Umar ibn Khattab said, "Let me cut the neck of this munafiq." But the Prophet ﷺ said, "Let him speak first." And Hatib said, "My family is poor, they're immigrants, and we don't have any, and we have no favor over these Meccans. But if my family is the first to spill the news and to give the news to the people, to Abu Sufyan, he'll always owe them a favor. Okay? And they'll have a special spot, my family will be taken care of." So Umar ibn Khattab said, "Let me cut his neck off." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Leave him, Umar. How do you know that Allah has not declared to the people of Badr, do what you wish, for I've forgiven all of you?" In other words, that because of their commitment on the Battle of Badr, that they basically gave their life away. Because they were 300 who were not ready for war versus 1,000 soldiers who were ready for war. And as a result of that, nothing that comes from them will have ill will. Right? There's another hadith similar to that, where the Messenger ﷺ said about Sayyidina Uthman, after he gave such an amount of gold that was considered to be absurd. Right? The amount of gold that he gave, no one had ever seen anyone donate that much gold, so much so that it was in the lap of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and he would turn the gold like this for people to see. Like amounts of gold, no one parts with this amount of gold, except that they literally have no ego anymore. They've sold their whole heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, "Ma darra Uthman ma fa'ala ba'da al-yawm." Nothing Uthman does will harm him after this day. It doesn't mean everything he does is correct and he doesn't have to follow the Sharia. No. But it means even when he makes a mistake in a judgment call, it will not harm him. Allah will protect him from his own mistakes. He will forgive that mistake, and the harms that come, Allah will protect him from it.
So, did this ever happen to like us or like people after the Prophet ﷺ?
Sure, it could happen. However, it could happen, but we will never know. It could happen that Allah says, because of this act that you just did, angels, everything, don't write his sins anymore. But it's a moot point because we will never know that. And anyone who claims to know that will be it will be unaccepted from him. Like how do you know the ghaib in that manner? And even if Allah told you that, it doesn't make it, you still are bound by the Sharia, right?
The story of Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani.
Which one?
When he was someone, like the shaitan came to him and gave him the impression that, oh, you're Salah, you don't have to pray anymore. And I guess he knew it was kind of like fluff.
Yeah.
Due to, you know, him like, negating, I guess, something that's obligatory.
There's a story that a man came to Abdul Qadir al-Jailani and said, the taklif of the Sharia is lifted from you. Right? Says Allah. And he said, you're a liar. Taklif of the Sharia is not lifted from anyone. Another version of that story, a man came to him and said, I'm Allah, and the taklif, or I'm an angel. I'm an angel, and the taklif of the Sharia does not apply to you anymore. And he said, you're a liar because I saw you walking this way, and if an angel comes, he comes straight down, right? That's one of the versions of that story, right? And even there's another story that on his deathbed, Iblis arose up and he said, you came out of my grasp because of your knowledge, right? And so that was a two-part trick. One, to make him like let his guard down, but the other to give credit to himself. And then he shouted out, he said, by Allah, not by my knowledge. Because if he said, if he accepted that in his heart, he's basically praising himself, right? By my knowledge. So now what does he say? The elderly then, what do? They resort to intoxication. They resort to busying themselves with more and more and more work and busyness to avoid asking this question. Okay. And what are these major questions? Who am I? Why was I created and put in this life? Where am I heading? What is my final destination? What is death? Ultimately, where did I come from? Where am I going? And what happens in between? That's the only question you have to worry about. Where am I headed? Where did I come from? Where am I going? And what's going on what happens in between? The more a person thinks about these questions, and I was talking recently to somebody about all the plastic surgery that's going on, right? And all of these, some of these plastic surgeries, and we actually are debating about the upturned nose. And I said, I think that happens when the plastic surgery goes wrong. The nose turns up because they haven't figured out how to make a nose incline down, what they call the aquiline nose. So the sign of plastic surgery is the nose points up.
Michael Jackson. Yeah.
Like Michael Jackson, for example. And that's usually a sign that I think it didn't work. That's usually what they said, what I've heard at least. And people do these plastic surgery, and then they get another one to fix that, another one to fix that, and then it looks terrible. But they were telling me now that upturned nose is becoming fashionable. People like it because they see it so much, right? But I said, no, it's not nice. It's not fashionable. The upturned nose is not good. And it's all about this plastic surgery. And I said, this plastic surgery is nothing other than the lack of any belief about your origins and your destinations. If you know exactly that you're passing through this world so quickly and that you have a creator, he's watching over you, you're going to go and live another existence, okay? Then you'd never do this. You'd never go this route because it's becoming so cheap and so popular right now. Hey, $4,000 or $5,000, you go get yourself for plastic surgery. When it used to cost $50,000, and it was like more unpredictable back in the day. And only the superstars in Hollywood used to get plastic surgery, but now everyone's getting it. And I'm telling you, it's not that I'm happy that it's not looking good, but I'm happy that the haram, changing Allah's creation, is failing. Plastic surgery always makes a person look the same. All these people, they all look the same, like goldfish. They look like human goldfish, right? And all the lip jobs, they all look the same. You could tell right away. And it's not pretty. Like, you're not even achieving the goal. I'm happy about that because when the haram is a failure, people won't do it. Right? It would be a big problem if they ever get better, which they could. They may perfect it one day. It'll be perfect. Number one, you can't tell. And number two, it looks excellent. It's very possible. But right now, they all look like goldfish. I told this story many times. I was in Turkey one time, and I was in line. And there was a woman ahead of me. Then I got to, after the ticketing, I went through the luggage, and there was the same woman ahead of me. You know, you put your bags in and you take your shoes off. All right, the security check. Then I got to the gate. The same woman was next to me again. I was like, what are the chances? It's a huge airport, right? Then I realized it's not the same woman. They all look the same, right? It's not the same woman at all. They all have the same features. Now, if you've done 3-4 of these plastic surgeries on your lips and on your, they do it on their lips. They do it on, what else do they do it? Mainly it's the lips, right?
Cheeks, nose.
Cheeks, nose. You start to look exactly identical to the person next to you. And unfortunately, many people start to get, it's really, I believe, a disease of the heart. They get addicted to plastic surgery. They can't stop.
Like tattoos almost.
It's almost like getting a tattoo. They cannot stop, right? They keep going and keep going and keep going. And when you see 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 plastic surgeries in, sometimes it's so scary, the result. Right? It's really scary. I mean, what Madonna, for example, has done to, what is Sylvester Stallone doing, right? This guy used to be one of the biggest movie stars in the 80s, Rambo and that generation, right? And then Rocky after that. Like, what is he doing? It looks terrible. He's got his lips done. His face doesn't move because of how much Botox is in his face. So we have a concept that we are leaving this hayatud dunya. We have zuhud. We have to fight against this stuff in ourselves because it's very reasonable to understand. A person may not have the iman to restrain this stuff, but you have to. Now, when are you allowed to do this stuff? You are allowed to do plastic surgeries when you lost something that in general humans are created with, such that your nose burnt off. Go do plastic surgery. Now, what if the plastic surgeon says, I can't build year-old nose. What I'm going to build is a perfect nose. You say, yes, build a perfect nose. That's permissible. It's a gift Allah gave you, right? Or a person, for example, is born and they have a birth defect on their cheek. Are humans generally born with that? No. It's not like a body part that humans are born with. You're allowed to remove that, okay? Gets their teeth broken. Now, that's an obvious one. Everyone gets braces. That's not changing the creation of Allah. It's correcting what humans have done to ourselves. Why do we get bad teeth? It's because of bad food. The sugars. That's why people have bad teeth. People don't have bad teeth for no reason. You're not born with bad teeth. Go to look at the picture of the Aboriginals. They got perfect eyesight, perfect teeth, and their hair is perfect. The Aboriginals who live in nature. Rarely do they have these things happen. It's when we import things into our ecosystems, into our bodies. We bring these things that don't belong. They start ruining our teeth. You go, for example, in Mauritania, everyone's teeth are messed up. Because sugar came, but dental work didn't. Right? Colgate never made it big over there. Right? So if you go to Mauritania, they drink ridiculous amounts of white, unrefined sugar in their green tea from birth. And that's the only pleasure of life that they have. Or it used to be, at least, in the old days. And so you look at the teeth of an older Mauritanian man, and they're all, you know, yellow and out of place and everything. That's because of the unrefined sugars. All right, how about eyesight? Well, we're correcting that all the time. And no one forbade LASIK. It's a correction of what was normally there. So when you make that correction, if you were to improve it, that's acceptable. Speak.
So, how do you feel about like men getting like hair tattoos?
Not the tattoo, but the zira'a, or implanting their old hairs or their original hairs from a different body part, is accepted. It's permitted by the Hanabila definitely permitted it. The Malikiya don't permit it, but it's upon ikhtilaf. So they basically pluck a piece of hair and put it somewhere else in your head. The ulama have allowed that, right? But they didn't allow the tattoos. By the way, I've seen someone who do the tattoos. It doesn't look like what the commercial looks like. It's just like a green blob that's very clearly distinct from the rest of his head. Yeah, I've seen it. It doesn't work, right? It doesn't look good. The same day it doesn't look good doesn't mean they're not going to get it in the future. You know that green is the reason tattoos turn green is that's the body trying to fight this ink. It's trying to push the ink out. And then therefore the green rises to the top. Okay. So if they had 1% of contemplation about this hayat dunya and akhirah, it should give us the sabr. And I'm not saying it's easy. It'd be very difficult in the beginning for someone to resist these temptations. I bet you there's going to be plastic surgery now clinics in every strip. Every town will have one. Like just walk in. Probably already is the case. But it'll become more and more and more affordable as time goes on. Okay. But we have to resist. And sometimes the pain of avoiding a prohibition, that's part of the package, right? The pain of avoiding prohibition, that's sabr, that's necessary. But that pain will go away once your iman overrides it. And also the pain goes away when you stop hanging out with such people. Don't hang out with them. Don't look at their Instagram pages. Don't look at celebrities and their perfect lives. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to. لا تمدن عينيك إلى ما متعنا به أزواجا منهم زهرة الحياة الدنيا. Don't extend your eye to the dunya that we're pleasing them with. He even said it's pleasure for them. متعنا به. They are in complete happiness and enjoyment. But don't look at it. It's a mirage. It's going to go away soon. Right? It's going to go away very quickly. Just what you should look at, and it's not relevant to you guys right now because most of you are in your 20s. You should look at, when you get a little older, the superstars and the celebrities of your youth. When you're 40, look at them. Right? It's not impressive. The comparison isn't good. The comparison is not good. Right? You get to see that, their lives are, some of them, their lives are terrible. If they mismanage their money and they mismanage their emotions and all that, they're living in misery. Even there was a superstar from the 80s. He mismanaged his money. He had a show, a very successful show in the 80s. And he's now a mall cop. You know how, from growing a Hollywood star to a mall cop, that's rough, man. That's really rough. Lawrence Taylor is basically broke. Lives in crack houses.
What?
Yeah, Lawrence Taylor.
Like the Giants story?
LT. Look up LT. Oh, really? This guy was like, they had to rescue, his friends had to rescue him from living in crack houses. MC Hammer, of course, we know he's broke. He lost all his money on one party. Right? One song, one party, one bankruptcy. I don't know what he's doing these days. Okay. A lot of the, female celebrities too, they have to go, they're in denial. And they keep going into plastic surgery. So may Allah protect us from these temptations, because we have to recognize they are temptations. Not everyone is of such strong iman that they could wave this stuff away. And Allah can test any one of our hearts at any given moment. You have to keep that in mind. He can test your heart. If you belittle another Muslim and you belittle the tribulations that Allah put on the earth, you never know what's going to happen to you. Okay? Mike Tyson is basically appearing in everything because he's got bills to pay, because he got scammed by Don King. Right? Don King made him sign contracts, sign all these contracts, and there would be like 2-3 words left over on the final page. So he'd sign that as if the document just didn't fit on, let's say, 12 pages. It'd be 12 pages and 2 lines, right, of text. Then all the way at the bottom of the page would be the signature. Don King go feed that back into the printer and put more text, more clauses, and his signature's there. How do you prove that, right? They know he did it, but you can't prove it. Don King, that's why they say why he wears his hair up like that, to hide his horns. You guys know who Don King is? No. He's basically the first epic promoter in boxing. And he used to wear his hair really high up, right? And they say that he wore his hair up there like that to hide his horns, because he was so devilish in his scheming. And Mike Tyson is bankrupt because of him. That's why he's got to do podcasts, comedy shows. He's got to appear in everything. Okay. Recently, you saw him. He was part of. He's gonna be in a movie soon. I don't know what movie it was, but the director. The director was some Jewish guy, and Mike Tyson in the movie's got to punch somebody, right? Obviously, right? So the director says cut, and then he say, "I want you to punch like this." Mike Tyson says, oh, look at this Jewish chess club champion telling me how to punch. I guess it was funnier when he said it. All right, he continues. He says, you must be certain in Allah's words. You have to have absolute certainty in Allah's words. Ya ayyuhal insan, oh human being, you are in hardship until you meet Allah. Everything is hardship. Even seeking pleasure is difficult. And then that pleasure goes away right away. Right? Whoever is given his book on his right, in his right hand, he will find himself with an easy reckoning. Right? And return to his family full of happiness. And whoever is given his book in the left hand, right, he will be calling out, what a calamity, what misery, and then he will burn. Okay. وَأَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. Rizq is in Allah's hands, but we only get it. We will get it if we put in the effort. Okay. So when you're young, it's all theory, but then it becomes time to practice it, to act upon it. Okay. Can you find someone who truly believes, who is then subjected to the anxiety and psychological unrest and the depression that you find amongst the secular atheists? He says it's impossible, will not happen. Right. Poor Omar is working his tail off, puts in a new camera, and it's not the camera, it's OBS.
No, it wasn't OBS either. It was the computer. The HDMI input's not working. It's frozen.
Shaykh.
Switch out for camera, but
Shaykh. Okay.
it's not OBS because I tried other.
The other reason for people feeling anxiety is because when their youth and their happiness goes away, they believe that the pleasures of youth, the pleasures of what they were experiencing is the only time they could ever be happy. They don't have any belief that actual true happiness comes after death. Therefore, what is prerequisite of all that is belief in life after death. And Allah tells us, أَفَعَيِّنَا بِالْخَلْقِ الْأَوَّلِ, did we find it difficult to do the creation the first time? Right? We see the creation here. If Allah did that, why is it so difficult to believe He did it again? He can do it again. All right? If a businessman comes up to you and says, I have a investment for you. You give me $50, I'll come back and I'll make $200 out of that. You get $100, I get $100. Okay? And then he comes out and he pulls the money out and he shows you, this is the money I earned. So if he did it once, why not believe he could do it again? Simple logic. And that's the logic of why I should believe in the akhirah. If Allah did it once, why can't we believe He'd do it again? So belief in akhirah is so critical, so important, such an essential element. And that's why the last portion of the Quran, every single surah mentions the akhirah. Almost, you can say. Again, imagine maybe Surah Al-Ikhlas doesn't mention the akhirah. But Surah Al-Dhariyat, Surah Taha, Surah Al-Tur, Qaf, Al-Waqi'ah, Al-Insan, Al-Qiyamah, Al-Mulk, Al-Hadid, everything. It's all akhirah, 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 akhirah. Okay. Everything is about al-akhirah. Okay. Nothing is a better source of relief than the contemplation of akhirah. Okay. All right, that's good enough for this. Do we have another segment? We have to do our dua for Asr. GRT. What do we have from GRT? Segment number 3 of our program. We do the dua first? Okay, let's do the dua first. Segment number 3. A. Chaudhry says it's blurry and laggy. It's because there's a new camera. Yeah. Sometimes we have to have some lapses like this, some imperfections, just so that the audience knows that this is an authentic Muslim operation. It's not funded by the feds, right? Not funded by some government, right? They gotta know. Otherwise, people get nervous when they see it's too clean, too perfect. They get nervous. Okay. Ryan, كيف حالك? Now, both Ryans are here. Where's the other Ryan? He's here. Are the children of Israel promised paradise if they fulfill their covenant? Yes, they are. The covenant means believing in Isa and believing in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's part of the covenant, right? Fulfill the covenant. Full belief in the Prophet Isa, full belief in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then you have fulfilled your covenant. But you reject those messengers, let alone say wicked things about them, then khalas. Yeah. Who? Oh, we just made it to $90,000 on British pounds. So today we got to get to 91. That's easy. That's only going to take 42 pounds to 91. Inshallah, before the end of the episode, we surpass that. Bismillah.
So inshallah, as you guys know, we partnered with GRT. You guys know the drill. So far, I think 90,950 pounds. That's like $120K, I think, which is
very good.
You guys did a great job.
Very good.
We gotta hit that 100K pounds though. So I'll send the link in the chat. Inshallah. Donate, empty your pockets, all that good stuff.
We need at least what's the math on that? 42 British pounds to get to 91,000.
Like 41 because of 88 cents.
Huh? 41 because of that 88 cents.
Who's donating pennies? SubhanAllah. No, it's all good.
It could, you know what the pennies could be?
Anything you.
If they translated
Yeah.
dollars, if they donated dollars and it translates. Yeah. Anytime you go on a British bookstore or website like that and you see the numbers are odd, it's because of the translation of the.
Yeah. But inshallah, run those over.
Are there any pictures?
Unfortunately, no, we don't have any new pictures, but next time I'll see if we have an update from our brothers in Gaza, from DRT, inshallah.
All right, let's do that.
Wednesday dua.
Let's do that Wednesday dua.
Alrighty. All the cameras are messed up now. Inputs, but see if we can get this fixed.
لا إله إلا الله الملك الحق المبين 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا وكان عند الله وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى بن مريم للحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن مهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم أعيذ نفسي بالله تعالى من كل ما يسمع بأذنين ويبصر بعينين ويمشي برجلين ويبطش بيدين ويتكلم بشفتين حصنت نفسي بالله الخالق الأكبر من شر ما أخاف وأحذر من الجن والإنس وأن يحضرون عز جاره وجل ثناؤه وتقدست أسماؤه ولا إله غيره اللهم إني أجعلك في نهور أعدائي وأعوذ بك من شرورهم وتحيلهم ومكرهم ومكائدهم أطفئ نار من أراد بي عداوة من الجن والإنس يا حافظ يا حفيظ يا كافي يا محيط سبحانك يا رب ما أعظم شأنك وأعز سلطانك تحصنت بالله وبأسماء الله وبآيات الله وملائكة الله وأنبياء الله ورسل الله والصالحين من عباد الله حصنت نفسي بلا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم اللهم احرسني بعينك التي لا تنام واكنفني بكنفك الذي لا يرام وارحمني بقدرتك علي فلا أهلك وأنت ثقتي ورجائي يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا درك الهالكين يا درك الهالكين يا درك الهالكين اكفني شر كل طارق يطرق بليل أو نهار إلا طارقا يطرق بخير إنك على كل شيء قدير بسم الله أرقي نفسي من كل ما يؤذي ومن كل حاسد الله شفائي بسم الله رقيت اللهم رب الناس أذهب الباس اشفي أنت الشافي وعافي أنت المعافي لا شفاء إلا شفاءك شفاء لا يغادر سقما ولا ألما يا كافي يا وافي يا حميد يا مجيد ارفع عني كل تعب شديد واكفني من الحد والحديد والمرض الشديد والجيش العديد واجعل لي نورا من نورك وعزا من عزك ونصرا من نصرك وعطاء من عطائك وحراسة من حراستك وتأييدا من تأييدك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام والمواهب العظام أسألك أن تكفيني من شر كل ذي شر إنك أنت الله الخالق الأكبر وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليم كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والحمد لله رب العالمين ظاهرا وباطنا وعلى كل حال يا أرحم الراحمين. We stop for dua for a few minutes, inshallah. صلى الله وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. All right, segment numero, whatever it is, 3 or 4. Segment number 4. Okay. Let's now go to the Q&A section of our program today. All right. What's the Hanafi ruling on drawing living beings? Huh? Who's the Hanafi here? Aliyan? Drawing living beings. Shouldn't do it? Makruh or haram? Full or total? There's probably some dispute. You, Ryan, if you're going to speak, Ryan A, there's 2 Ryans now. If you're going to speak, you speak with a quote. Not your opinion. Not your opinion or what you remember. A quote. You have a quote?
I have what I've observed.
Nah. I have what I have observed is not going to cut it. You go to Hanafi.com, Seeker's Guidance, and you get the quote. Okay? Go Seeker's Guidance on your phone.
I've seen, what I can say is I've seen Hanafis do it for dawah or education.
La.
But I'm not saying the ruling. I'm just saying what I've seen them do.
Yes, that's true. I've seen that too, but we need the quote. Go look it up in Seekers. Is this sheikh reliable? I hope so. Maximix Edison says, the one in the video, is he reliable? Well, I can tell you what our policy is we only quote in fiqh from the mashhur. What is this? Try. From the mashhur of the madhabs. Okay. We quote. No opinions here. Nothing but facts. Quotes. And we don't also go with solitary opinions here and there. Right? Why don't we like those? They didn't reach us with tawatur. They weren't agreed upon by the madhab. Right? Even if someone went and got, for example, al-Awza'i, even if Imam al-Dhahabi, reliable source, Imam al-Nawawi, Ibn Hajar, they know how to track a quote, right? If they were to cite al-Awza'i said this on Wudhu, okay, or on fasting or whatever, it didn't reach us with tawatur. It didn't reach us through mass transmission. It only reached us through one source. Okay? So with all due respect to all those trustworthy people, right? But something that reaches you from one person is susceptible to error. Okay? Speak.
So, like, what about, how would that align with all the misinformation today that reaches to us? Like, especially online, like this big da'wah scheme, like the Salafi movement, there's a bunch of misinformation out there. Especially on like Instagram, I'm seeing a bunch of like bad clips coming up, giving random fatwa, Ozan, all of them. Like,
just because something is mutawatir that it happens, it's mutawatir that it happens. We can confirm it happens. That doesn't make it true. Right? So that's where the tawatur is, right? Doesn't make it correct. Doesn't make it true. So it's mutawatir that Christians say Jesus died on the cross. So it's mutawatir that they said it. Right? What is mutawatir that is the truth is that which is mutawatir from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he's already been deemed to be true. So now we need to know, what did he say? We're going to have a layer of claims, different layers. A solitary claim, 3 people said, 2 people said, 4 people said. That what's mutawatir is absolutely true. Okay? And we do accept the ahad, by the way. Ahad hadith, we accept them. But when there's a mutawatir across from it, then the mutawatir takes precedent. And the ahad will either be suspended, we don't know, we don't have enough information on how to practice it, or it will fit in a way that it does not contradict the mutawatir. Okay, so no one should say we don't accept the ahad. We 100% accept the ahad. If there's an ahad hadith and no other source, and it's the only source, we accept it. Okay. Ryan, what was your question that you put in?
The hadith about non-Muslims being tested on the Day of Judgment if they never heard the message of Islam.
It's a great example.
Not reliable, right?
No, it's a reliable hadith. There is a hadith from Prophet ﷺ that non-believers will be tested on the Day of Judgment. But we also have, that's an ahad hadith. We also have the Quran, which says that no one who does not receive a messenger will be punished. وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. And the risala and the taklif, testing, the abode of testing, is this life, not the next life. So we have these mutawatir Quranic verses and we have one hadith. So in that case, we have to make a decision. If you accept the ahad hadith, you're not accepting the Quranic verse, right? Okay. Clearly, this wouldn't be correct. We are punishing you even if you didn't get a message in this life by testing you in the next life. So the ulama, then they went with what is heavier evidence without saying the hadith is false. But we're going to believe and preach and speak about what is the stronger of the two evidences. Okay. That's what we're going to do. That's how we interact with evidences of different weights. And if someone doesn't know that they exist, some people imagine they can't exist. No, they do exist, right? There are apparently contradictory evidences. And another way out of those is to realize that they didn't happen at the same time. So one may be the abrogation of the other. Okay. Or the Sharia did not all descend at one time. So something may have been halal at one point, later on it's makruh. Right? Or haram completely. The Prophet wore gold, the Prophet said don't wear gold. So which one? Obviously he wore gold before he said it was haram. He's not going to say it's haram, then wear gold, right? So this sharia did not come down like two-dimensionally, one lump sum, it comes down. No. Nor did the Sahaba witness everything all at once. Some Sahaba witnessed portions and other Sahaba witnessed other portions of the seerah, and they went back to their nations and transmitted a hadith and things that they saw which may have been abrogated without them knowing. It's not like there's so many layers of Sahaba. There are Sahaba who spent the whole time with the Prophet. There's Sahaba who spent some small time and then they left. And they went to teach their people the religion. So they were teaching them something, it became abrogated. Right? And they didn't know. There wasn't communication the way there is today. So therefore, that's how you have such apparent contradictions. Not a contradiction when you actually understand the order of what happened in the history. Chief.
Can you talk about how, like the Maliki usul, like how the Amal of the people of Medina is considered, or like how that factors in with the tawatur, as opposed to like, because we know we take that over like ahad hadith. So
Okay. Amal Ahl Medina is of two types. One of which is mutawatir, and one of which is not. Okay. So the Amal Ahl Medina is essentially it's the actions of the people of Medina, but it's also the judgments of the early Medinan scholars. So that's the part that is a judgment. The other part is mutawatir. No one can dispute it. And what's an example of that? How the adhan was called, how the women dressed, how the tarawih was performed, how the size of the sa' or the mud of the Prophet ﷺ, right? The weights and measures, the how many grams of was the gold coin. Those things they're mutawatir. No one can dispute them. Nobody tries to dispute that aspect of the amal of Ahl Medina, right? And that public element of Islam there that is coming. There's literally kids and grandkids of the companions, and this is something public. Everyone's doing it. You're not changing that over one course of a generation, right? So that part of it's mutawatir, there's no discussion on it. The other part of Amal Ahl Medina is that if these scholars are the kids and grandkids of the Sahaba, their scholarship will be the best understanding of Islam. And so from them, what their scholars agree upon is also considered Amal Ahl Medina. Fatwa Ulama al Medina. But that is not mutawatir, and it's not binding on the whole ummah, right? But we hold it to be the best of knowledge. The people, Imam Malik, consider that to be the best of knowledge. Who's going to know better? But it's an opinion. It's not binding. And another example for that is that Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, he had a council of 12 scholars, 7 main ones, and then 5 were added later. So they are deemed to be the best of the scholars of Medina at that time. And when they agree upon something, it's the religion, according to Malik. Of course, we're talking about differed upon matters or matters in which there needs to be judgment. That's what fatwa and fiqh applies to. Fatwa and fiqh doesn't apply to matters that are cut and dry in the religion, that have no discussion about them and do not need fiqh. Nobody needs fiqh to know that Ramadan is an obligatory fast, but you do need fiqh to know, how do I make up, when do I pay kafara, when do I owe kafara, when do I owe qada. Kafara is a penalty, qada is just a makeup. That requires fiqh. But we all know we have to fast Ramadan. So some certain things, the qat'i verses have no fiqh in them. There's no fiqh. Yeah. You're welcome. Suhaib. There's 2 Suhaibs and 2 Ryans in the room. Inshallah. 2 Omars. You're Omar what? Who's Omar? Oh, you're Omar? Another Omar? Inshallah. And your name is, brother? Tim. Inshallah. We have a Tim and a Ray. And Hamza. Ahmed. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Faris. And then Mist. Abu Mist. Okay. No Allianz?
There's Adi and Adiyan.
Okay. Continue.
Okay. So he asks, having a haram income risk is so. Okay, I'm trying to understand his question. He says having a haram income / risk is one of the sins that blocks dua from being answered? And are there any signs that we can look to or know whether or not our rizq has haram in it? Or how can we ensure that our rizq is halal?
The insurance of the rizq being halal, it has to be that where you work, the institution or the industry that they're working is permissible. Even if they do a couple haram things, you try to avoid those, but the industry at large is permissible. Hence, working at ShopRite is permissible for you, right? But working at a liquor store is not. Even if you say, I'm not touching the liquor, I'm only working on the electricity. Haram. The whole industry is forbidden. Okay. Now, there could be something down the middle, like banking. Part of what they do is halal, part of what they do is haram. Maybe it's pretty close, right? So most likely they say as long as it's like 50, they do have in their industry, hold your money, you get access to it, that part's halal. Maybe other parts are haram. So if you're serving the halal part, that will be acceptable too. So that's basically essentially how you make these decisions. And you don't have to ask beyond one step. So if my father died and I received inheritance is halal. I don't now have to ask about every single one of his transactions. Okay? Inheritance just came to me. Sharia does not require you to go more than one step. Okay? Yeah, but the Hanafi madhab goes even further and says you may take part in what is forbidden. Right? I'ana al-haram, al-ma'siyah.
I actually found out recently, though, that Sheikh Osama said that it's a misunderstanding that it only applies in moral harm to an active harm. He asked him to permission to sell him alcohol or something like that.
Yeah.
It's from Imam Hanifa, actually. It's from the blood of
Hmm.
So did he say that opinion is incorrect or it's still valid?
No, well, when we had Sheikh Abdullah Misra here, he confirmed the position of an Ana al-Masiyah, that the Hanafis, they have some taysir, some ease in this mas'ala of helping people commit sins, where it's a small part of your job to ring up pork, for example, to ring up wine. All right, like, I don't recommend people do this, obviously, but there is some talk about it, and you could ask your local Hanafi scholar about that. Okay. They're from early on. Yeah. Yeah. Subhanallah.
There's no way for you to say, like, oh, this is a later scholar.
Yeah.
Because of istihsan or something. He decided.
Was your mic on when you said that? Or? It's on. Okay. All right, let's move on to now Salah on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do we benefit from saying it or from him returning the salam? And the answer is both, of course. What's the proof of that? Because when you say it, you're obeying what Allah commanded, right? And on top of that, he is responding, and you're benefiting from that too. So that's a dua of the Prophet. And that's why, how can somebody remain to have anxiety in his heart when the Prophet himself is sending you salam? And we know that the salam of the Prophet is not like our salam. We say it as if we're saying hi. But we should say it knowing you're making a dua for somebody, right? And the Prophet ﷺ knocked on the door of a sahabi and said, Assalamu alaikum. And the sahabi answered very quietly, wa alaikum salam. Then he knocked again, said, Assalamu alaikum. The sahabi answered very quietly, salam. They said, Assalamu alaikum. That's a sunnah 3 times. So he said, wa alaikum salam, quietly. So when the Prophet saw that no one was home, he didn't get any answers, he left. Then the sahabi opened the door and he said, Messenger of Allah, I'm here. I just didn't answer your salam loudly 3 times so that you could keep repeating the salam upon our households. It's a dua of salam. How can the salam of the Prophet coexist with anxiety in the heart? Doesn't coexist. Anybody who has issues, who has anxieties, who has these mashakil, then you have to pile on the salam on the Prophet with heavy dosages. You can't just take 1 milligram of something and expect a result. You have to take sometimes 300 milligrams, 500 milligrams, 300 milligrams in the morning, 300 milligrams at night, 1,000 salawats in the morning, 1,000 salawat at night. Okay? So you have to do that. You have to do a lot of salawats to get that result. Who has more rights over a woman, her husband or her elderly father? It depends what the mas'ala is. For example, if you have money and your father's sick, he has 100% right that you take care of him. The responsibility falls on the sons first, then the sons-in-law, then the daughters. Okay? So let's say grandfather is very sick. The responsibility goes on his son first. Let's say he doesn't have a son. He has a daughter, the son-in-law. The son-in-law says, I can't afford it. Then it goes to the daughter. She's got disposable income. She takes care of it. Let's say she doesn't have money, but the grandson has money. Falls on the grandson. Okay? This is like the structure of responsibilities that Allah put so that nobody's really left, without somebody. And of course, unfortunately, society has been broken up. So there are plenty of people all alone, or they have one or two people they rely upon. They can't take care of them. Okay. So what do you owe for your father? You owe for him his food, his care. You don't owe paying his debts. That you don't owe for him. But to have a roof over his head, yes. To have food in his stomach, yes. To have medical attention overall is considered sunnah, mandub, or mubah. It's never a fard to give someone medical attention. Do you know that? It's never a fard. When the Prophet ﷺ said things like take medicine, the ulama, they said either this is permissibility or recommendation. There is no punishment levied to somebody who does not provide medical attention to somebody else, right? And so therefore, helping someone with their medical conditions would likely to be mandub. What now if someone's going to die from a sickness? So for example, if someone's got the flu at home, you're not obligated to go and give them. It's recommended for you to do that. Give them flu medicine and soup. Now the question comes, what if someone's going to lose a limb or a life? And there the ulama said, now at that point you are obligated, right?
Somebody needs
CPR. So losing a life or a limb, but just the flu, no one's obligated to take care of you, right? But losing life and limb, now at that point it's a problem. And some of the ulama did say this. Okay. Ahmed Salim says, please have Sheikh Osama Salahiyya. We need Shafi'iyya on here. Yeah. Do you have to commit to one madhab? You should, says Moiz Bashir, you should go look at the video series we made on madhabs. And the answer to that, if you're a regular common Muslim, no. But if you're regular common Muslim, no, you just follow the trusted source in religion. Once you become a student of knowledge, you do need that. Okay. Okay, what about the issue of obedience? Your father tells you to do something, your husband tells you to do something. It's your husband, of course, right? It's your husband. Okay? Your husband. All right, man has to cover everything. Look, husband does not have to cover every expense of the wife. This is a misconception. He has to cover what is her norm of life. What is the norm when you married this girl and you said nothing? You didn't say, get ready now, you have to agree to marry me upon the life of, for example, a school teacher. Very different than, let's say her parents were, let's say, surgeons. Mom and dad are a surgeon. You know what that life is like, right? That life is a very good life. Now, what am I? Let's say I just teach in a school. So now that's a step down in terms of finances. So if you say, upon this life that I'm going to live, then class, that's all you owe, right? You'll be like the wives of the other teachers. But if you said nothing, then the expectation is that you keep her on the same life that she's used to living. And anything, if she forgoes it, is from her. So that's what you would owe. And if she wants anything beyond that, that's from her. And there's no aib in that. Your manhood isn't attacked when you do that. When a person does it, say this is what I have, and then she goes and spends her own money. Now a lot of guys, they would love from themselves to cover everything. So it's a big difference in when we talk about marriage. If your responsibility is here, you should be aiming here, and if your rights are here, you should be accepting of this less right? If your obligations are X, then you should try to offer 3X. If your rights are Y, you should accept Y over 3, right? Be forgiving. So that's what the marriage contract is. It is a عقد مبني على المكارمة. It's a contract based upon forgiveness back and forth and overgiving and forgiving. Okay. Is Seekers Guidance a reliable website? Yes, it is. They quote directly from sources. Yes.
So this principle, does this also apply to the Mahr conversation? Because some will say, all right, charge the guy the highest Mahr possible, because you're going to pay for a house that's probably like 500K at this point. You're going to pay for a nice car. So this woman's going to hold your house together. So why not pay her like an outrageous Mahr? That's the reasoning of some people.
A wali, he's the one who should have those talks. Firstly, not the woman. The Prophet ﷺ said the most blessed woman is the one who is easy with money and has a lot of children. Okay? That's blessed. So she shouldn't have those talks. If the wali wants to do that and he finds that there's a wisdom behind this and there's a reason for it, then he could do that. But if he's doing it in a way that makes marriage difficult, then there's karaha there. There's discouragement. So much so say, no, Umar wanted to put a limit. A wali, for example, his guidance from the Prophet ﷺ is, if a man comes to you and you are accepting of his deen and his character. So deen involves, it's a religious obligation that you cover her expenses, right? So that is part of the deen. I had this discussion with Sheikh Rami a while back. So, man tardawna deenahu wa khuluqahu. His deen is not his i'tikaf and his salah. His deen is also that he can pay for his wife, because that's a religious obligation. So he tests his akhlaq by asking around and meeting the person, and he looks at his deen and he says, all right, your deen is good, you don't do any major sins, your reputation is good, you pray and you fast, and you pay for your expenses, your obligations. This is an obligation. So for him to ensure that is permitted. But for him to elevate the mahr to such an absurd degree that you would turn such a man away, you enter into discouragement right now. You're turning away a man for no reason. And on top of that, these things could be done over time. It doesn't have to be paid all at once. However, the difference is that the moment that a mahr is due, the mahr is the dowry from husband to wife. The moment it's due, and you can't pay it, she can tell you, don't touch me. So let's say you paid for, it's a 10-year deal. Every year you pay, you paid 10 up front, and you're going to pay 1,000 for the next 10 years. So the first year passes, you pay 1,000. Next year passes, you pay 1,000. Next year passes, you pay 1,000. Let's say on the third or fourth year, you're like, I'll get it when I get it. No one's going to ask me on the third year. Khalas, we've been married 3 years, we have 2 kids, right? On January 1st, the check doesn't show up on her dresser, and she says, all right, I'm going to sleep in another room. She has the right to do that. Don't touch me. It's going to be weird, but she technically she has the right to say, don't touch me unless the mahr is paid, right? Technically. Of course, anyone who lives like that, they're not going to have a happy marriage. Yes.
So you actually are able to finance the mahr?
Yes, you can. You can finance the mahr. Yep. Yeah, you can finance the mahr. Yeah. You pay a little bit up front maybe, or over time, or all of it later, or all of it over time. Whatever you agree on. And if you get married and say, well, let's talk about the mahr later, or you totally forget about the dowry completely, then you agree on it afterwards. And if you can agree, now you're already married, right? Now she's stuck with you. And now you're like, well, I got married, so why would I pay a big mahr? I already got what I wanted, right? So she says 20,000. The dad says 20,000. You're like, we're already married, right? I got the balls in my court now, right? And you say, no, not more than 5. Okay? So now what do? The Sharia says that you get her friends. You say, who are the 5 girls that she hangs out with? All right, 3 of them are married. This one got a Mahr of 15. This one got 20. This one got 10. Add them all up and divide by 3. Okay, that's called the Mahr al-Mithl, Sadaq al-Mithl, which is the dowry. That's like arbitration, right? It's like arbitration, basically. Basketball player says, I want this much money. The team says, no, I'm only going to give you this much. He says, all right, arbitration. Okay. And the league comes in and says, how many points per game you average? How old are you? How many assists you average? How many steals you average? And they find your likeness, the 5 players who are like you. Okay. All these players are getting $4 million a year on average. You get $4 million a year, right? So that's it. That's arbitration. And it's a risk, right? And the agent should know better. He should have done the math first before sending you to his guy to arbitration. But Sadaq al-Mithl is the exact same thing. It's arbitration. Okay. Yes. Speak.
Not to switch up.
Yeah.
Our conversation. We had a discussion on the way here about kombucha.
Kombucha.
Yeah.
We in the Maliki school, we don't allow drinking it, but others said it's allowed to drink. Ryan, what did the Shafi'iyya say? The Maliki, when I recently talked to Sheikh Harun about it, he said it's haram because it's the alcohol in it is there is trace amounts of alcohol in it. So he said the ulama said it's forbidden. Yeah.
And Hanafi only allows that if it's for a reason and a necessity, not out of vain. One of the conditions in the Hanafi madhab is that you can't do it in vain. So I don't know.
Wait. The rules.
Yes, that is a technical
Quotes. I want to see it. Do you have the quote on you?
Seeker's Guidance, yeah.
Okay, good.
Word condition.
No. Pull it up. Pull it up. Pull it up.
I hand it to you when I
Pull it up. Yes. Pull it up. I'm teaching this brother right here who likes to talk fiqh. I don't want, but you're like on your first year studying fiqh. So nothing that comes from you is going to be relied upon. I need the quote. Okay. And I need at the bottom the name of the book, the volume number, and the page. Okay. And that's what we're doing with Maliki QA. Maliki QA, we're revamping the whole thing. Okay. Maliki QA, we're revamping the whole thing, and there will not be a single answered question unless the source is there from the mashhur texts with the Arabic, with the citation, full citation. Okay, not Mukhtasar Khalil. No, what is that? Where in Mukhtasar Khalil? Right? Where? What chapter? Whose print? Every print, the pages are going to be different, right? This is not like al-Mus'haf al-Sharif, where the Medina prints are all the same. Non-wine alcohol. Non-wine alcohol. So alcohol that is not coming from grapes or dates is strictly forbidden unless they meet 5 criterion. Not drunk with the intention of intoxication. Not drunk to the extent that it would intoxicate. Not drunk in the manner in which alcohol is drunk, like from a nice fancy cup or a shot glass like that. Its presence must not be in vain, not drinking it for amusement, for relaxation. It's not the direct point of pleasure. So you're not drinking it even because you enjoy it. Okay? Where is this from? An-Nahlawis ad-Durar al-Mubaha. Okay? Tiramisu, which contains rum, is permissible if the above conditions are met because you're not drinking. However, if the rum is the flavor, then it's forbidden. Any food that is alcohol flavored is also prohibited due to the 4th condition. You're taking it for the pleasure of it. Okay? Soy sauce, kombucha, kefir, yogurt are permissible because the 9-1 alcohol does meet the above standard. You're not drinking it for the alcohol, like alcohol, nor enjoying the taste of the alcohol. However, beer battered fish or rum flavored cake prohibited. You're taking it for the enjoyment of it. This is all the Hanafi madhab. Okay. Anyway, no one should be upset about because kombucha tastes terrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not
No one likes it.
So healthy, it's so good.
There's nothing. No.
Actually cry.
La. Nabid. Okay.
I showed you the reference. I told you.
Yeah, you did good. You did good. Here you go. This is, I'll tell you who wrote it and approved it. This this was written by Yusuf Welch, Sheikh Yusuf Welch, and approved by Sheikh Faraz Rabbani. Okay?
I asked Imam
Yeah.
the Imam
Well done.
Center about alcohol that has medicine in it.
Okay.
And then he said only if there's no alternative that it meets the conditions of non-wine alcohol.
Of what?
He said it's permissible only if there's no alternative to medicine. If there's an alternative, then we shouldn't do it. But if there's an
In our madhab, in the Maliki school, you can only take a medicine that has alcohol in it with conditions. And from those conditions is that there's no alternative and that it's certain to work. It must be certain to work, and that the sickness is to the point of dire need or death, not just a general cough or something or a pneumonia or something like that, unless you could die from it. Okay. All right, now let's look at this question. If salawat is the best dhikr, why do anything else? I have one time read about a youth who saw the Prophet in a dream, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, I ask your forgiveness, for I have decreased in my salawat upon you because I memorized the Quran." And he said, "And do you think," the Prophet ﷺ said, "that not anything pleases me more than my ummah memorizing the Quran? Did not Allah Ta'ala put in the Quran His own complaint, Inna qawmi ittakhadhu hadha al-Qur'ana mahjura? My qawm, meaning the kuffar of Quraysh, they have abandoned this Quran." And Allah only put it there to show that the Prophet, he was hurt by this. So the Prophet loves for his ummah to memorize Quran and read it and be busy with it. So, and what is better, recitation of Quran or hifd? Of course, hifd, because hifd allows you to recite it without need of the mushaf, and without need of wudu, and without need of the hay'ah, the position to be reading Quran, or to recite. And so hifd of Quran is very easily done by a philosophy of etching. The Mauritanians call it darb. You take a portion, you outline, you could put a line in the mushaf, this is my portion, and you recite it either by minutes or by times. They do it 300 times. You recite half a page 300 times, how are you going to forget it? Right? Or by minutes. You could put yourself a certain number of minutes, 15 minutes, I'm going to read this over and over and over and over and over. By the end of the 15 minutes, you should know it. If that doesn't cut it, then 20 minutes. Or decrease the number of ayahs. Once you figure it out, then hifz of Quran just is a matter of time. Once you figure that, you are literally etching it into your brain, then you're going to go back to it sometime later for a second etching, then you're going to go back to it for a third etching, right? And in Morocco, they do 4 times. They memorize the Quran 4 times. Okay.
4 khatmas or 4?
The first year they'll memorize the whole Quran. The second year, he will do exactly the same thing. Okay? Of course, now it'll be faster. So he'll finish probably in 8 months. The third year, he'll do exactly the same thing. This time it takes 6 months. By the 4th year, he doesn't make a single mistake ever in the Musaf, because it's so etched deeply in his brain. Okay. If you didn't know that intentionally vomiting made you break fast, do you have to do kafara? And the answer to that is no, because that is ta'wil qareeb. That is a fair misunderstanding. But you may not even need to do qada if it's not qada or doesn't owe qada in another madhab. For example, if you did a certain behavior and then realized years later that in your madhab this is forbidden, or it breaks your salah or breaks your fast, and now the result of that is I owe 50 fasts, or I owe 5 years of fasting. Okay, this is considered hardship. You're allowed to now go, do I have a way out in any other school? Because I did it innocently, thinking it's allowed. And the answer said, yeah, you have a way out. What's an example of this? A Maliki comes and he realizes his whole life he's been praying Maghrib, Isha, and Fajr silently when he prays alone. He doesn't know. He thought that I can pray Salah if I'm alone. I pray silently. Then he realizes, no, you owe sujood sahu for that. It's a sunnah mu'akkada. You purposely prayed silently? Yes, I purposely prayed silently. So that you didn't even forget. Therefore, there's no sahu. Salah's batil. If you leave off one of the 8 sunnah mu'akkada in the Maliki school on purpose, your salah's batil. Sahu is called forgetfulness, not purposely leaving it off. So we say, no, salah's batil in the Maliki school. So, but I innocently did this thinking it's okay for 20 years of my life. We say, okay, no worries. In the Shafi'i school, it's not a sunnah mu'akkada. Saying out loud or silently is not a sunnah mu'akkada. Does not negate your salah. You're good to go. Because the qada is heavy. It's too heavy. It's too much. So we go to another madhab and find you a way out. And I've seen many of the fuqaha do this.
So,
Yes.
like wiping over the socks. I know there's like a minority in the Hanabila that allow it.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, wiping over the socks, he said. And there is a minority of that do this. Hanbali scholars that allow this. I don't know if I can't say minority or majority. You quoted a minority, but I've heard from them different things. I've heard that the mu'tamad of their school, anything that is a sock, even if it's a stocking, that you could see the fingernails, if the toenails right through it, you can wipe over it. That's what I heard. And I heard others say, no, there's the conditions for the sock and stuff like that, and it's not what you think. So I can't, we have to ask a Hanbali for that. Why don't somebody look up Sheikh Yusuf bin Sadiq, what he says about it. You find a reliable Hanbali source. Okay. All right, here's a question for you. Can I abort a baby at 5 months, says Juice? Well, the question is not specific enough, so I'm going to give you all the specifics about it. Number one, if the mother's life is at risk, then you can abort it, even at 9 months. Number two, 5 times 30 is what, 150? So you pass 120 days. Therefore, the only excuse is that the mom's going to die. If they tell you your baby is going to have multiple deformities, you're still not allowed to abort for that reason. Okay? So 5 months is 150 days, right? So the maximum in the Shafi'i school is 120 days. MalikiQA put out 40 days. They say there's another hadith that says 40 days. They go by that hadith, number one. Not the one in that's, we often read 40, 40, 40. So they also say that 40, 40, 40 is the same 40. Okay? Which is, I would say, ba'id. The language of the hadith doesn't indicate that. It does indicate 40, then another 40, then another 40. Okay? But they don't go by that hadith. They go, why? Why would they go with the 40 over the 120? They go with what is safer. Okay? For taking a life of a baby. And they're the strictest on matters of abortion. They say the only thing ever is the life of the mom. And they say, though, they do separate, though. Before 40, it's a major sin. After 40 days, it's killing. And you're going to owe a financial penalty for that. Okay. What is the ruling on being borderline area of traveler where there are some routes that go beyond 47 and below 47 with the same time? You would be considered a traveler, I believe, because the traveling distance is disputed in the first place. And 48 miles is not the only saying. 36 miles is the other saying. And that's what we go by. We go by 36 miles. The mile, the burud of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was what is it? The burud of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some have deemed it to be 12 English miles. They calculated the burud to be 12 English miles. And others calculated it as 9 English miles. So 4 times 9 is 36, 4 times 12 is 48. That's why you get that difference. They both agree that it's 4 burud, but they differ. Burud is a Roman mailpost, but we differed on what they differed upon what the burud entails. Does it entail 12 miles, 12 English miles, or 9 English miles? That's what they differed upon.
Traveling days counts as 14 or less, right?
Hanafi school, 14 days or less. Maliki school and Shafi'i school, it's 20 prayers or 4 days. Yeah.
And then one opinion says that as even if it's for like a year, it just as long as you're away from home, right?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone says more than 14 days. However, if you move within the journey, like a backpacker, every night he moves to a different place. He renews his travelers, his position as a traveler. Yeah. You have a quote?
No.
Nothing yet?
It gave me like a video of a friend called, so
Seneca says, How do I differentiate between intuition and waswasa? By the Sharia and by the urf. You separate the two by Sharia. And hey, Habib, bring those pizzas here so they don't get cold. Here we go. Clear the table. Yalla. Clear the table. Shabab, move your arms that Allah gave you. Here, Chief. Khud. There you go, with my right hand. Yes, use that. Make space up there. Use those spaces behind you there. Stick. Khud. Okay. خذ الكتاب. بسم الله. خذ. What's that? Manuka honey? Yeah. Some serious stuff.
No, that chai was so good. The chai was so good.
Chai?
Yeah, who made that?
This is some you got chai? I got talking about this, right? I got sugar with some chai in it. But it was really good. Habib made this. Habib made that.
There's a lot of honey.
Is that honey? MashaAllah. Wonderful. All right, hats. Let's see what we got. Who's the pizzeria from? Bismillah. Whoa. Gentlemen, cometh and eateth. All right, you guys take the vegetable pizza. Take that away. Get it off the table. Get off the table. Let's see. What do you got here? Cheesesteak on the pizza. My goodness. All right, pass it around.
That's the one.
Buffalo chicken pizza. My goodness. Pass the box around. Ask about the scenario. Take that, pass it around. Take this, pass it around. What's in there?
I'm not sure. Let's say somebody goes to jail, and then they're only assigned 3 meals a day at specific times.
That's me.
And they're not allowed. They can't eat. So are they excused from fasting?
No, they're not excused from fasting because they could take that food and put it aside.
What if they don't let them do that at the jail?
He still has to fast. In the jail, if they only give you meals at certain times a day, you still have to fast.
Luckily, we've never been.
Yeah. Mubin Rafi'uddin says, why are graves of the pious built up? At some point, the ulama said they wanted to distinguish. La, too much. This one. They wanted to distinguish the ulama, and so they built something on them.
There was an incident, not an incident. It was like just like a at the school.
Yeah.
There's like some brothers here take a seal-off class with a teacher.
Yeah.
And the teacher's like, well, we're not like a very good teacher. And there was a place where he showed pictures of the Prophet ﷺ.
He's sinful.
And like, even out of like, and he was showing like places where he was born and like.
Places? Yeah, that's fine.
Like,
But not pictures, the paintings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and
These are alleged pictures, yeah, like the ones that the Shia depict and whatnot.
yeah, like even sometimes Sunnis made those.
Yeah, yeah. And he was saying basically,
A lot of stuff was going on in Persia back in those days.
exactly, these are all Persian like drawings. Yeah.
Yeah, the Persians were sinful. You don't show it. No, maybe I don't know what is there. There's no need to show it. Like sometimes talking about something sinful, showing you something sinful may have, like teaching you what an interest contract looks like, so you can avoid it. But those pictures are not really. There's no need for it. So if he's not promoting it and he says this is haram, but let me just show you this is what they did, showing you there's no real need for it. So better to avoid that.
He was trying to show that like Wahhabis will cut your head off.
We will too. It's not a Wahhabi thing to depict the Prophet. It's Ahl Sunnah, all the madhabs, they don't allow this. Okay. So you guys don't have the same kind of. This, by the way, isn't even classic Jersey pizza. This is acceptable, but yeah, I mean it's good, but. Of course, there's no wiping in ghusl. Yep. Is it wrong if a husband forces his wife to do his job at the threat of divorce? Taban. That means, for example, let's say he has a job on the computer and he says, do this job, right? Because for some reason, he can't force her to do that. Can I do wudu over socks in the Maliki school? No. Feet or khuf, leather khuf. What's the dalil about getting a second wife? And is it haram? Firstly, the dalil is the Quran allows for it. Is it haram to keep the first wife in the dark? No. Her being informed has nothing to do with the validity of the second marriage or the third or the fourth.
Oh, wait, she doesn't have to, like, you don't have to tell her. You have to get like permission or not.
Permission?
For a second wife. I thought she has to agree. No.
Where'd you get that?
Oh.
You don't even have to get your mom and dad's approval to get to get the first wife. You know that? You inform your mom and dad. Technically, by Sharia, that's not how people live, though. Of course, right? The woman, of course, needs permission from her wali when it's her first marriage. She needs a wali, but not his permission for her second marriage. Let's say death or divorce. Now she's gonna marry again. She needs the wali to be present, but doesn't need his permission. He says, this is a terrible idea, I don't approve. That doesn't change anything. She's permitted to go forth now on the second marriage. He needs to be there, but he cannot stop it. Now, remember, law is not how life is lived, though. So just separate the two things. Law has nothing to do with how real life is lived. Yeah.
Well, not that I personally would do this.
Yeah.
But like, okay, like, do all like four schools of thought agree that you could keep like the second marriage low key?
There's no such thing as a secret marriage in Islam.
Even if you don't tell your wife.
No, yeah, even if you don't tell her, but it wasn't performed in secret. It was performed in the open. So much so, the scholars in the old days used to say that the new couple, someone should beat a drum and announce it. Beat the drum, that's a sign someone got married, and announce, so-and-so is married now, so-and-so is married, right? This is called the ishhar. Marriage is a public thing. What happens if a baby comes out of this marriage? So now you're living with the first wife, and then you die, and they're dividing up the inheritance, and then a woman and a boy come in. Is this like one of these movies? And say, well, we also deserve from the inheritance. So ishhar is necessary. You don't play games with this stuff, right? There's no games with this. Everything is out in the open. Okay?
Safe as it gets. I've seen somebody, it was a distant family member. Him home passed away, and during the Tazia, the lady just came with her son. And Allah Alam, like the scenario was like for halal or not. But, asking. And people assume like the worst automatically. Like she must have been potential mistress or whatnot.
They won't inherit.
They wouldn't.
A mistress and a son of a mistress? No, they don't inherit. It's not a valid child for the dad.
But they're saying that basically, like, they didn't know the people that, because I mean, the person that with the answers unfortunately passed away.
Where is the witness to this marriage?
So did she have to bring one?
Two, even.
Two, okay.
The witnesses. Now listen to this. When can I hold the mushaf in salah? In nawafid, that you are either leading or praying by yourself. Can I open the mushaf while the imam is reciting? The answer is no. It's an unnecessary movement. So you don't hold the mushaf while the imam is reciting, right? Where's Ryan G? You're there. No, that's a Maliki and Shafi. I didn't see you eating, so I was wondering where you were. Okay, good. Any nafila, any non-obligatory salah, you can hold the mushaf in the Maliki and Shafi'i schools, and I believe the Hanbali schools, you can hold the mushaf and read from it in any non-obligatory salah, as long as you're praying alone or the leader of the salah, not as a follower. The follower has no excuse to do that.
Even in Tarawih?
Yeah. Even in Tarawih. Shafi'i allow that? Holding the mushaf while following the imam. Shay Ajib. Evidence. Evidence.
I've seen
Evidence.
people like they're checking like the imam. They're like in the front row just for any mistakes they're holding themselves. Is that okay?
He's going to bring us evidence right now. Faris.
Is his word allowed? Like this is permissible?
Yeah, we to accept from Sheikh Mahdi. Using pirated software. What's the ruling on using pirated software? I believe that would be a minor sin. Right? Pirating, taking something that's not yours.
Yes, okay. So, sorry. Somebody asked, Salam Shaykhana, what is the Shafi'i position on holding a mushaf during salah? He said it is permissible in salat tarawih, but not according to the Hanafis.
As the imam.
No, I can hold up the full question.
Like while leading?
Oh, whether they are falling behind the imam or the imam himself. Let me see if you answer that. Yeah, he said it's permissible to all the questions he asked. Yeah.
He said that explicitly.
Yeah, I can show you.
That the Shafi'i allow for the ma'mum to hold the mushaf.
The guy asked like 10 questions. He gave like a answer according to everything. He says, Salam Shaykhna, when Shafi'i positioning on holding a mushaf during salah, holding a phone with a Quran app during salah, does it matter whether they are falling behind the imam or the imam himself? Do the other madhabs allow it? Relevant to Tarawih. And Sheikh Mahdi says, right here, where do you go? Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. The person should, sorry, I'm trying to find it. It is, where'd it go?
While he finds that, let me answer this question. Can a man disown their illegitimate child? You don't have it in the first place. He's not attributed to you in the first place. A child is attributed to the woman every time. And the man, if he married that woman. Okay? The father in Sharia is the husband of the woman who gives birth. If that woman goes and cheats on him, has a baby from another man, the Sharia, the court, will deem that that baby is to the husband. Okay? How would the mahram work for that child? You committed zina with a woman. You and her fornicated. Now, none of your testimony is accepted. You're a fornicator. Right? She says, Wallahi, he's the only guy I slept with. You're a fornicator. We don't believe anything you say. Right? Okay? Why would we believe it? You committed fornication. So your testimony is out. The DNA test says, all right, you can believe that all you want, but DNA testing is some kind of speculation in it, and it's not something that's right in front of our own two eyes. Right? So by Sharia, it won't be accepted. It will not be accepted. Specialized knowledge is not accepted in certain things. In certain things that need to be public, like the identity. So that child is to the woman. That child is the son of that woman. And her dad has to take care of that child, whether he likes it or not. Her dad, the grandfather, the maternal grandfather, is responsible for that baby, whether you like it, whether he hates his daughter or not, whether he considers her to be, she disobeyed me, she's sinful, etc., etc. It doesn't make a difference. You have to take care of that child. Don't talk to your daughter if you disapprove of this. But the child's innocent. You have to take care of him. Now the dad says, Wallahi, I'm the dad. I'm the father. And he looks like me. You can give sadaqah. You can marry the woman, right? Now once he marries that woman, that son or child, now if it's a girl, she is forbidden for him forever, and she could take her hijab off in front of him. That's the solution. Okay? That's a solution. And the Hanafis, they do have leniency on this again, right? They do say that, yes, if it's pretty much, we can assume they're the only couple, and they were like, let's say, living together, and there are many reasons to believe, then yes, he marries her, and then that child becomes his legitimate son or daughter. So the Hanafis have some leniency where they applied common sense. Like, yeah, okay, she's a fornicator. That's true. We know that. He's a fornicator too. But still, nonetheless, they're coming in a culture where nobody marries, right? And it's reasonable that they're generally truthful people. And therefore, we can accept their testimony on this, that he's the dad. And then they marry afterwards. Then we can say, yeah, you're legitimate. It's a legitimate child. You're now the lawful caretaker of that child. So the Hanafis applied some of that common sense, which was, I think, useful in our times.
So I got it.
Yes, go ahead.
So he did continue on it. He said it is permissible in Salat al-Tarawih, but then he said in al-Majmu' by Imam al-Nawawi, he doesn't make the distinction between fard and nafil. In other words, it is permissible to read from a mushaf in prayer in the general sense.
As the imam, read, because the follower doesn't read.
And he answered the question like with all of it in one go. I think.
If it's a chat, why don't you send him right now? Send him a question. Okay.
About 9 o'clock over there.
In England? Yeah.
I did ask him a question once, and I never got an answer. So I'm gonna ask you, inshallah. It's on if two people are wearing helmets.
Two people are wearing padded helmets. Yeah.
Boxing gloves.
And boxing gloves, yeah.
And they strike their face. Consent between the two. No deformations caused.
No, they still shouldn't strike the face because of the honor that Allah gave the face. Yeah. They shouldn't strike the head even if they're wearing helmets. Yeah. Yes.
That's makruh or that's
Haram. Strike in the face, yeah. It's forbidden. Yeah. If a person states accuse Sayyidah Aisha of zina, kafir on the spot, no doubt. Doesn't really need discussion because Allah made her innocent in the Quran, right? Allah made her innocent in the Quran, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
He goes, so this is two part, I guess. When/how should Salat al-Istikhara be performed? And expanding on that, is Salat al-Istikhara done before we've made a decision?
Salatul Istikhara, it goes like this. You have made a decision with your mind and with asking advice from people. You made a decision. Now you ask Allah Ta'ala, did I make the right decision? And you do 2 rakahs, you recite the dua. Then if the matter becomes easy, then you made the right decision. If the matter becomes hard, then you made the wrong decision. Adnan, read us the Instagram question, please.
How do you stay patient during prolonged illness?
How do you remain patient during a prolonged... You ask Allah for patience because essentially you have no choice, right? Matters that are out of your control, you have no choice. So just ask Allah for help. And patience is by force. إِنَّمَا الصَّبْرُ بِالتَّصَبُّرِ. By force, making yourself patient. Busy yourself, distract your mind. Things like that. Ask Allah for help. So again, if a man and a woman, they have an illegitimate child out of marriage, it's not, that child is not attributed to the man. Because what we saw, what the whole society saw, is that child came out of that woman. That woman does not have a husband. The child is for the woman. And her dad has to take care of that child. Okay? That's how it works. If a man cheats and disowns his child, they still answer to Allah. Of course, all that is, you're still answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No doubt about that. So it's not like you got away with it. Right? A. Chaudhry and Atiq Rahman have an epic battle here. Listen to this. So Atiq says to Chaudhry, this is like I don't think that's acceptable form of evidence. A. Chaudhry says, I'm not claiming it is. Atiq says, then don't answer. Okay. Then Chaudhry says, do we need your permission to have an opinion? Atiq says, nobody's asking for your opinion. Chaudhry says you're rude. Atiq says you don't need to satisfy your ego by answering every question you get. Chaudhry said no one asks your opinion either. Okay? I mean, maybe if they hear it out loud, they'll realize we shouldn't be talking like this. Chaudhry then says, you're the one who's won with your ego. Epic little bout here and battle here. Do Malikis have a concept of makruh tanzih and tahrimi? La. It's just karaha, discouragement. Discouragement when there's not really the proof to make something forbidden. The Hanafis, if the proof is based on ijtihad, then it's makruh. If it's proof of prohibition based on ijtihad, then it's what they call makruh tahrimi. Speak.
This person is saying, what is the stance taken on a given contemporary scholar in America whose followers take him as a mujtahid, as well as a murshid?
If someone is claiming to be a mujtahid, first of all, the correct practice is that another mufti signed you off as a mufti. And in our day and age, the mufti of today is only in new matters. I think all Muslims agree there's no more mujtahid imams, right? But there is mujtahid and mufti in nawazil, in new matters. So it should be that someone signed you off as that, okay? Someone said, you're a mufti, okay? You have the qualifications. And usually that happens, that the sheikh has an assistant, and we all see the sheikh with that assistant, and that assistant keeps growing and growing. Sheikh starts giving him more responsibilities, and then eventually sheikh says, what's your opinion? So it becomes clear to us that the sheikh is now approving of his ijtihad in new matters. Ryan?
This is the message out of the Mus'haf.
Oh, the Mus'haf. We have an answer to the Mus'haf. All right, let's answer the Mus'haf, and then we'll get back to this one. Go ahead. So that's what we said. We said the imam and the munfarid, not the ma'mum. So the difference in the Shafi'i school and the Maliki school is that it doesn't matter fard or nafil. So you could pray maghrib or isha from the mushaf, whether you're leading or you're praying by yourself. But Ryan, it didn't say the ma'mum.
It didn't say ma'mum.
The heat is rising on Ferris. The heat is rising. Okay. So the ma'mum does not have the permission to recite from the mushaf. According to that, he just did it. He didn't explicitly say.
Take the L, brother. Take the L. Is there an explicit answer out there? It's done.
Ask Sheikh Mahdi. Or ask Sheikh Osama Salhiyya. Let me ask him right now.
I texted him. He hasn't replied.
Sheikh Osama?
No.
Let me ask Sheikh Osama, because it's only 4 o'clock Jersey time, so he'll... Here we go. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum ya Shaykhna. Kayf ahwaluk? We have a question in the Shafi'i school. The ma'mum, the one who's following in the salah, ma'mum, muqtadi, can he open the mushaf and follow along the imam as he's reciting? Yeah, I just sent him a message, voice message. Okay, so back to what we were saying. What were we saying earlier? Okay, mujtahid. So then, let's say hypothetically someone tasaddar or put himself up and said, I'm giving fatwa. So for this, we would, the existing mujtahids in nazila, muftis, would assess his fatwa as right, as agreeable to them or disagreeable to them. And then the people who want to follow him, he takes the responsibility of their religion on that, in that case. So that's how we would treat it. You can't stop someone and say, okay, I'm a mufti now. But let's see what the community says. We'll see what the scholars say about that, right? And let all the everything, the cards fall where they fall, because you can't stop someone from talking, right?
On the topic of
Yeah.
I know it's like more popular now to have like 6 to 10 year iftar programs, or like you're a mufti in like basically 10 years. What is the...
So, okay, let me tell you. The mufti programs, when someone says a mufti, they may refer to a mufti that can answer questions in matters that are already exist, right? Not in new matters. Usually someone who is a mufti in new matters, The term mufti refers to that. Someone who gives the fatwa on new matters, like Bitcoin. How do I pay zakat on it? Is it even permitted for me to purchase that or not? Because the Shafi'iyya said, no, you can't purchase this. It's nothing, right? It's essentially nothing. Neither is it a good that you can touch, nor is it a surface. Okay? So the Shafi'iyya, the Sheikh Ali Jum'ah has fatwa on that. He says that these Americans are just gambling and they buy and sell things that don't exist. So he forbid it completely. He's a mufti of the Shafi'i school. The Malikiyya permitted it. And they said, we treat it as a stock until the day comes that you could buy soda and gas and pizza and homes with Bitcoin. That everyone does it, and it's not newsworthy, right? That everyone does it. Shafi'iyya also said this is something that doesn't exist in a country and you can't get your rights. If Bitcoin itself, the actual Bitcoin, not any cryptocurrency, actual Bitcoin, nobody knows who founded it. Nobody knows who's in charge of it. If someday the owner came down and, I don't know if he can even do this, but the founder came and shut it all down. You lose all our money, right? Where do we sue him? Right? So that part of it was the Shafi'iyya took that into account. Imam al-Suyuti was lenient on speaking out and teaching fiqh. He says if a person reads and truly understands, then they could teach fiqh. What's really truly needs a little bit more tight rope on it is fatwa on new matters and the qira'at of Quran. Qira'at of Quran. Yeah. Is it for permitted or haram to get a degree in finance and you never work where there is riba? Yeah, that should be fine. Risk analysis, financial analysis, risk management. Question skipped more than 6 times. Here it is. Says what? This question was skipped like 5 times. What do those small coincidences mean when like someone says something directly related to you? Maybe sometimes you can recognize that Allah is answering a question that I had in myself, right? And sometimes you feel as if the aid of Allah is with you, right? Sometimes you feel that, and if it's in something that's good, then it's more likely that hopefully you're correct about that. Serendipitous coincidence that seems like there's no way that's coincidence. I feel like Allah's helping me. Yes.
I was going to ask, what's the Maliki's opinion on cryptocurrency as a whole?
They permit it if people use it, buy it, and sell it as either a stock or as a currency. Malikis hold to be a currency that which whatever people trade in. The Shafi'is had that extra layer. They said, can you get your rights in court? If you can't get your rights in court, then you can't buy and sell this thing. That's what many Shafi'is said.
When it comes to zakat, how is the process like?
So if it's used as a currency, you pay zakat as of currency. If it's treated as a stock, which I think most people treat as a stock, they go to whatever buyer, wherever they bought it, and they check is crypto up or down, and then they pay it as a stock. So stocks, technically, the stock, it's something where when you cash out, you pay zakat on it. Others said, if you're a stock trader, every day you're trading back and forth stock, then it's inventory. The stock itself is treated as a piece of inventory if you're someone who trades all the time. But if you said, let me just throw this in there for a rainy day, let it sit and marinate, and in 10 years I might cash out, then the day you cash out, you pay your zakat on that. Same thing with a home. If you're a guy who has, let's say, a portfolio of 100 homes as a real estate guy, and you're buying and selling homes every day, it's like no different than a guy who buys and sells phones every day. Then your home is your inventory. And you pay zakat on your inventory minus debts. But if you're a guy who just bought himself 2 condos and you rent them out, when I sell them, when I need the money, I'll sell them. Then the day you sell them, because you're somebody who's holding it, you're not every day buying and selling in something. So there's zakat on money. There's zakat on inventory. And then there's zakat on holdings. Things are just holding to sit there. That's called muhtakir, the one who buys something and just sits on it. The one who buys something and just sits on it and he doesn't plan to sell it and he doesn't trade with it every day, he pays zakat the day he sells it on the money he makes. Okay? Minus all the expenses and the debts. Okay? Go ahead. Ryan has a Joab. Let's hear it. Yes.
وأجاب المفتي السابق قائلا نعم يجوز متابعة الإمام من المصحف
You're lucky.
الصلاة وخاصة في صلاة التراويح خاصة وإن كثيرا من المصلين يقول إن هذه الطريقة تساعده على التركيز والخشوع في الصلاة.
There is the answer. Ryan brought it from Shafi'i.com because he's now a Shafi'i. And Faris is off the hook. He was about to... These cords fit nice and neat around your neck for giving a wrong fatwa. But he's off the hook. The Shafi'is can hold the mushaf behind the imam to help read in Taraweeh. Go ahead.
No, I don't think the phone one is I heard the public.
Yeah, we're not going to say the phone one. So he may hold the mushaf. Okay.
Someone in chat said they're going on Umrah in a few days. Any advice?
Someone's going on Umrah in a few days. You want to try to decrease your distractions. You only have doing something, you're only doing it for a week or so. Decrease your distractions and increase your ibadah. And especially there may be Ramadan as well. So really tell everybody, make some sacrifice and do what our guy from Australia says. What's his name? Muhammad what's his name? Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't invite me. That's what he said for Ramadan. When Ramadan comes, what's his name? Mohammad Hoblos. Yeah. Don't call me. Hey, can we get that? I want that recorded. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't invite me. Okay? Leave me alone. That's what you got to tell your friends. When I go? No, because I think he's on the opposite side of Australia. He's in Sydney, I think. I'm going to Melbourne. Inshallah, June 24th. He's a great preacher, for sure. Okay. Selling stocks before the settlement day. Is it haram? I can't tell you. I don't know if that's a technique that people do. I don't really know much about it, to be quite honest with you. Okay. I can't tell you the answer to that. But if it's something, a practice like you're legally swindling someone, then no, that's not right. Go ahead.
Say I lend someone money, and okay.
Is this gentleman's mic on?
Yeah.
Go.
All right. So let's say I lend somebody money on top of like, the money I guess have and or the properties I have. But then let's say like that money, it's technically equivalent to the nisab amount.
Once you lend someone money, it's off your books.
Oh, perfect.
You are not zakatable for you anymore. It's off your books.
I'll let that.
Okay. Is playing arcade games gambling? No, it's not. So you put in $2 so that you could play a race car game or something? No. That's not gambling. That's by law is halal. It's waste of time. But it's haram if you put in money for the crane to get a doll for you, for example, and you can get it or not get it. That's forbidden for you. It's not. It's sort of like gambling. It's more like bay al-gharar, or pay money and then shoot a basket at Great Adventures or one of these theme parks, and the basket's very small. For example, it's rigged, and you end up wasting your money. Forbidden. Anytime you pay money, I either get a good or a service, right?
Or one of those things where you pull down the lever and then it gives you like just tickets. These tickets.
If you pay money and you get tickets, then you use the tickets to ride rides or do those things. That's halal because you're getting the service, which is riding the rides, right? That's lahu basically. It's halal for you. Those aren't forbidden deals. Yeah, right.
If you were to loan out money to like an individual or a friend, a family member,
Yeah.
should you always have the mindset that, okay, you know what, this is a gift? You know what I'm trying to
No, it's a loan or it's a gift. You may say it's a loan, and in the back of my head, I may forgive it or I may not. Okay, there's a big difference between a loan and a gift. Okay, because a gift you can't ask for it back. A loan you can. You could say, hey, just a reminder, you got 1 month to pay up. You can choose to forgive or not in a loan. Whereas a gift, Well, all right, now let's talk about this. What's the difference between a gift and sadaqah? When I give you a gift, I expect to cement a bond and a relationship. And that one day, you're going to help me. In any capacity. Just hanging out, inviting me over. Maybe one day you'll give me a gift. So a gift, there is an expectation of a return from the other person. Doesn't have to be a material return. But I expect now we should be better friends. No one gives sadaqah with any expectation from the other person. You expect the reward from Allah. I give you sadaqah, we should not even have to see each other again. You owe me nothing. That's sadaqah. Okay? And a gift, I could take back if I see you misusing it. Sadaqah, I never take it back. So I give you, let's say, a car as a gift, and I see you misusing it, driving all to unlawful places. And then I could say, I didn't give you a gift to use it for the haram. Give it back. Gifts you can take back. Investments I could pull out of the company if I don't like the directions. But sadaqah, you give it, you don't ask questions.
But it's not permissible for an invalid reason, right? Because the Prophet said that it's like a dog.
Yes, once you just, now you don't like the person or you need the money, then it's highly discouraged for you to say, I need the gift back. It's disgusting behavior for no reason. If there's a reason, then it's halal. Speak.
Ahl-Bayt, how does I feel like I've seen you answer this.
Ahl-Bayt is everybody who descends from Abdul Muttalib,
so
the grandfather of the Prophet ﷺ, through men. He descends to them through men.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because I someone asked in regards to the gifting and the sadaqah part.
Sadaqah to Ahl-Bayt is makruh.
Right, okay.
Only on one condition. Sadaqah is makruh, zakah is haram for Ahlul Bayt on one condition, that the state is taking care of their poor. If there is no dawlah, there's no khilafah, no king, no anybody who recognizes Ahlul Bayt as a category and actively takes care of their poor people from Ahlul Bayt, then sadaqah and zakah is halal for them. And on top of that, it's prioritized for them and it's treated as a gift. Okay, so in America today, someone's poor from Ahlul Bayt. Is there a dawlah taking care of them? No. So therefore we can give them zakah. But we don't call it zakah, we'll call it a gift. Okay. Yeah, they can receive zakah. All right, couple more questions, then we wrap up. Is smoking marijuana haram? My kids are asking. Yes, 110% is forbidden. Yep, that's forbidden.
Kids are asking.
Huh? No, alcohol is worse than marijuana. Alcohol is worse than all drugs. Yeah. Yeah. Alcohol is worse than all drugs. But it's forbidden, 100%. Anything that causes you to lose your mental faculties, your mind is altered, is forbidden. Anything that is mood altering is halal. And it could be makruh if there's harm to it. Okay? Mood alter. Coffee is mood altering, right? Makes me a little bit happier, right? Melatonin gummy bears, mood altering because now I feel like sleepy. Or not even mood altering, I'm completely sleeping, but I'm fully with it, right? So you can be, even sugar, a lot of high dosage of sugar, kids are bouncing around the walls, off the walls, it's halal. Mood altering. Unless the effect is not good, not healthy, then the substance is never haram. But how you use it may be discouraged or encouraged. Farhana Patel, rapid fire before we wrap up. What happens to elderly parents whose son doesn't pick up responsibility, he's sinful, and doesn't emotionally or mentally grow up? Does it fall on the son-in-law? Yes. Falls on the son-in-law. Then it falls on the daughter. Yep. Quick question regarding istikhara. We answered this. What if we see positive signs regarding a matter in a dream? Forget dreams. Forget dreams. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ put the conditions of istikhara in the prayer itself. And he says, oh Allah, if this is good for me, make it easy. Dreams could be you love her so much that you dream about her. So in marriage especially, rule out dreams. It could be true and not true, who knows, right? In marriage specifically, rule out dreams. All right? In terms of making the decision. If after you made this decision, Then you see a wonderful dream that has symbols and it looks like it's true, and then a dream interpreter says, oh, it's a true dream. Then you could believe it. You're already married, khalas. You're already, made the decision and you're already engaged or whatever. So it's just icing on top. That's how you should perceive the dream, not a decision-making factor. We'd have a crazy ummah if we did. We'd all be going crazy, right? And then how do you explain to this? Oh, it's, why would you like to come and propose to my daughter? I saw a dream. You're out. Get me somebody who's in reality.
What if someone else sees the dream, like not for you, Yanni, but like
when someone else sees a dream for you, it's probably more trustworthy because it's not coming from your nafs, right? But you still don't make it as a basis of a decision, okay?
Yeah. Well.
Why is marijuana forbidden? It is forbidden because it alters the mind. It alters the mind. You will not be in your senses. Okay? Silly question, but I had to ask. No, not silly. Nothing is assumed here. Our assumption is that the listener and the viewer knows nothing about Islam. And that's why I have no problem repeating all these answers, which some of these brothers have heard more than 50 times. I'm not kidding you. 50 times they've heard the same thing. That's okay. We're here to etch it in our minds for us, but for them it's the first time. Think about the listener, not about you. Many people do this. Oh, I answered this 50 times. Okay, but you're doing dawah for the listener, not for the speaker, right? So you read Fatiha more than that, right? Why does Allah make you read it more than so many times? Because you need to etch it in your head. Can men wear red? They can wear red as any color as long as it's not associated with pagans, the opposite gender, some kind of group of people who do fisq. Fisq, for example, you cannot wear a color that only a certain group of people wear. You can't go around wearing a rainbow sweatshirt these days anymore because it has a connotation that will ruin your reputation if you wear it amongst us, right? You get a good reputation amongst other people, so go and enjoy it with them, right? So you're going to be stuck with that. So, for example, in India, I believe they're Buddhist monks, Hindus, they wear certain colors. There, it would be unlawful for us to wear. You'd be confused as one of them, or it looks like you're supporting one of them. Okay, so there's a certain orangey yellow that the Buddhist monks wear. We're not allowed to wear it in that way over there. If it's like a hoodie, yeah, they don't wear it as a hoodie. They wear it as like a cloth, right? So you can't wear that. You can't wear something that's all the prohibition is based upon. If now society changes and that has no meaning whatsoever, then you can wear it. The same thing. All right, same exact thing is unlawful in one society is lawful in the next society.
So how does that relate to like things like jewelry, like earrings and bracelets?
All jewelry is haram for men. Okay, this guy's got kombuchas out, jewelry's out. This brother's regret this trip. This brother is going to regret the day he's walked into the studio. All jewelry is haram for men by the verse of Quran, أَوَمَنْ يُنَشَّأُ فِي الْحِلْيَةِ وَهُوَ فِي الْخِصَامِ غَيْرُ مُبِينٍ. All right? Okay. All jewelry is haram for men. Now, what's not jewelry? A watch is not jewelry. A tool that you put around your neck is not jewelry. A misbah that you throw on your neck because it's easy just to throw it on is not jewelry. The man is permitted only one silver ring, or one ring that's not gold.
What if the watch has stones on it?
Not gold. Not gold. Stones, yeah. You can have a watch with diamonds on it, right? But you cannot have a watch with gold.
According to Hanafis, I heard that if there's...
No, you're out. I heard...
Okay, yes.
He just said, according to Hanafis, I heard. No. Read it to me. Read it to me. Hey, guys, isn't this a great habit to have?
100%.
No one talks except... Qala so-and-so book. Not I heard this, I heard that. Okay? Is titanium wedding ring haram for a man to wear? No, it's halal. Is smoking cigars haram? Yes, it's haram. By the way, cigars now it's shown to be more harmful. First of all, cigar, you're not ingesting anything. It's in your mouth and you push it out of your mouth. Unlike a cigarette, right? So, but they did discover that it's very harmful for you. Yeah, so it's haram. Gelatin in the Maliki school has undergone istihala and therefore they permit it. It's completely different it's a completely different material at this point. Yeah, like can you explain the tailbone hadith? The Prophet ﷺ said that everything dissolves except a small piece of the tailbone, and from that you're resurrected again. Through that piece, you're resurrected again. Does numerology have a place in Islam? I don't necessarily hold numerology has a place in Islam. However, there is something that the ulama did hold for numerology, and it's not numerology as such. For example, anytime the Prophet ﷺ said, say this an odd number of times, like 7, 33, like a unique number, we should stick to that number. So after Salah, you don't say Subhanallah 34 times. It's 33, not 32, not 34. But if the Prophet ﷺ said, say it 100 times, then it means as much as you can, at least 100 times. And as for the numerology that some shuyukh use to try to discern how much dhikr we should say that that number is an ijtihadi number. It's just an ijtihad from them that you should say it this many times. Okay, it's an ijtihad. There's no specific reward put there. As for the numerology of telling the future, we don't accept that. Yep. Is it shirk to believe, says Maryam, I'm going to read it. I'm going to come to you, Oran. Is it shirk to believe that crystals and stone contain energies? It's not shirk, but it's pseudoscience unless proven through experimentation. And pseudoscience is discouraged for us because it's chance. It's a game of chance. It's just changing your life, wearing bracelets, putting stones over your house on a non-fact, a very flimsy speculation. And I guarantee you, no professionals, this is not offense to you, Maryam, no professionals, no one who's into epistemology, no one who's into discerning facts does crystals. No one who's into reality and knowing what's actually true about something is into crystals. I'll tell you who's into crystals. People who are involved in non-objective fields, photography, art. No right, no wrong, right? No right and no wrong. Beliefs. This is just a belief, right? It's a belief. Okay? If it makes you comfortable, that's the max. It just makes me comfortable to own these stones, right? That's fine. But don't say that there's special powers in them. If you believe it, keep that belief to yourself because it's not a fact. You have to prove it, okay? Like medicines, there you have experiments on this. They do it on 50 people and they do a placebo on 50 people, right? And it works, right? You try it and it works. So it's not minor shirk even. No, it's not even minor shirk. It wouldn't even be minor shirk. If you believe that a stone has a medicinal impact on your joints or something like that, and you wear the bracelet, we just would say it's a flimsy science, but we won't go to the point of shirk. Anything can be shirk if you believe it itself has power, right? That's shirk itself. But if you ask a person, why does the medicine work? Because Allah made it work, right? Allah brought the cure through this. She's saying Allah brings the cure through these stones. We say there isn't really much study to back that up, so it's not science. It's a flimsy pseudoscience. It's just a belief, right? Therefore, you're charged just on the fact of buying stuff on whimsical beliefs. You're wasting your money. You're wasting your energy. Okay? And the sign of pseudoscience, it has a cult following. Is there a cult following behind Excedrin? No. It works. We don't need to have a cult following behind water, behind Excedrin, behind coffee. The stuff works, right? It's proven. This thing, because it's not proven, it's a belief, there's cults around it. Okay? And the people who are into crystals, they're like, you're into crystals. You're one of these people, right? And so it'd be better off to invest your time into something that actually has a proof. Now, if you just like the way they look, you can buy them. I just like the vibe that it has, having these rocks all around. But who's going to become your friend now?
Yeah.
Weirdo.
Right?
Yeah.
Riya is called minor shirk. It's to worship Allah for the sake of the pleasure of other people.
Question in the back.
Question in the back. Go ahead. Last question.
Is the reason that jewelry is haram is because it imitates women?
Yes, the Quran forbid jewelry for men because it is intended to be one of the demarcators between men and women. And for a man, it makes him vain. And when a man is vain, it clouds his intellect. When he becomes vain and emotional and he loves himself, it clouds his intellect. What did Allah say? the one who was raised on jewelry, and then his argumentation makes no sense. Okay? So his mind is clouded with emotion and vanity. Now he talks and makes no sense. Okay?
Adab, guys. Adab.
Okay?
They're calling people out.
Okay? So there must have been an inside joke here that I just stepped on. Okay?
And the argument makes no sense.
I have the citation.
Lana says, can I wear a bracelet with an eye symbol if I don't believe in it? And I just like the bracelet I got as a gift. You can from that aspect, but you may fall into mahdhur. Mahdhur is something that may be warned against if now people think that you're superstitious or ignorant. So you can wear it and cover your sleeve, right? But people may see you and say, she's one of those superstitious Sufis, right? She's superstitious. She's ignorant. She believes in that hasad eye. All right, we're not going to marry her. We're not going to let our kids play with her kids. All that stuff. Of course, I'm going to extremes here, but I'm just telling you why Sharia worries for your reputation. Okay? Because people are not expected to make excuses for you. They're not expected to be jurists who say, well, maybe it could be this. Maybe she knows and she just likes it. We don't expect the people to do that. We expect them to make flash judgments about us. Therefore, Sharia makes sure that we observe these things. I've been getting Maliki pilled lately and have some questions about the minutia of prayer. Is there a good holistic source? arcview.org. Take the course and you can ask questions. All right, last question from Tim. Tafaddal.
Is it a good practice to cite your friend who's more knowledgeable on you Islam, like they have teachers? Is it a good practice, like for a friend, like my friend said this? Or should you always get this?
If your friend is a shaykh, if your friend is a scholar, if he's a relied upon scholar, like for example, I know that Sheikh Mahdi Laq will not speak without checking his sources because he's very academic about his fiqh. So if he says something, I'm going to accept it. But I won't even say it to the public unless I know what his source is, because the public doesn't know Mahdi Laq, right? I know Mahdi Laq. I trust him. I'll act upon it. Yeah. When I tell the public, I'll cite the source. And the big scholars who are well known in the madhab, like Imam al-Nawawi, and known in the Shafi school. Ladies and gentlemen, does the hands of Fatima fall into the same category as the eye? Yes, I would think so, yeah. Because people may think that you are now into these superstitions, blah, blah, blah. Even though, you may be free from that, and it's just harmless in that respect. A great stream brought to you by all these brothers from Atlanta. Okay. And particularly Ali, who lost his kombucha. He lost his jewelry. What else did he lose? Oh my goodness. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله. They said it. I didn't even intend that.
Kalbe şifa